Hours on this Monday, June the 8th. Wolo and Stats with you until 6 o'clock today. Very interesting show for sure. Ted Butler, his debut this Monday. He'll be with us the rest of the way because we have real golf coming up on Thursday from Fort Worth at the Schwab. Can't wait to talk about that. What a field we've got. David Cobb, the college basketball writer for CBSSports.com, will join us at 4. At 4:30, Steve Selby, voice of the Memphis Redbirds. I guess we're not going to have a Memphis Redbirds season, but he's still the voice of that team, and we'll talk about what he's doing and what's going on. At 5 o'clock, the premier agent, I think, in the country, one of the most powerful men in sports, Jimmy Sexton, will join us. And then at 5:50, we will have crunch time. Interesting day today. Mayor Strickland has lifted the curfew that came a couple of hours ago. Congratulations to the city of Memphis. The protests, for the most part, were peaceful. They were organized. I think in a lot of respects they were effective. And I think we're on the verge of change in a lot of people's attitudes. And this came without some of the nastiness you saw in other cities, so I commend our city for that. Hopefully we are moving on, and hopefully this freedom again to stay out and do whatever you want to past 10 o'clock or 11 o'clock will remain in place. So good things happening today in a lot of fronts. We'll get into the coronavirus cases. They were a little bit down from yesterday to today, a lot down. So that is good. The story on Major League Baseball, not good. And Brett, I know you had to have a pain in your heart when you saw that the owners today gave out a 76-game possibility, a projection, an offer to the players who I think were immediately insulted and said it's the same thing, just a different form. And, in fact, there might be more risk because if there aren't playoffs, we wouldn't get near the money we thought. And they have until Wednesday to answer. But from when I'm hearing from everybody, it does not look good.
No, Dave, it doesn't look good. Good Monday to you. And David Cobb also writes about college football for CBS, and we'll talk with him about that and a lot of calendars being released today about preseason practice plans and an on-time weekend of September 5th, weekend of Labor Day start. No, it doesn't look good for baseball at all. Now, from what I understand, we'll visit with Steve Selby about that as well, not just about his year in purgatory with no games to call. We'll get his insight on the baseball. But from as much as I can ascertain, the management, baseball, can force, almost without their approval, a 48-game schedule.
They can.
And if they'll agree to it, a 76-game schedule. That is laughable. It's sad. It's every emotion.
I read this one thing where, if you look on paper, so the offer they made today was 75% of the prorated salary, which comes to about $1.432 billion. That's $989 million straight salary, but $443 million if the playoffs take place. Also, a part of the sticking point was if free agents sign compensatory draft picks, and those apparently are getting thrown out the window. So the owners are actually saying, okay, we're not gonna make that a part of all of this. So that's thrown out. So I'm reading some other people that say whichever offer you look at, games, the way it's all structured, it basically comes out to players get about 33% of the money they normally would have gotten.
Yeah, and they don't want to do that. I don't think they want to play, and I don't think the owners are bent on playing either. I think it's lukewarm on both sides at best, and pure apathy from a lot of them at minimum. And we talked through all this about how it would impact some veteran players. This could have been the last year for a lot of players, probably will be, and the atrophy effect. Look, we're seeing how hard it is to restart an economy. We all know after downtime. If you take extended vacation, that first day back is nothing like that day heading into vacation. It's hard to turn the engine back on. The old saying, it's much easier to tear something down than to build it. Well, we're going to see that with sports. We're going to see a little bit of that in Orlando, I think, with the NBA and a couple of losses there. The disengagement factor will be big. For baseball, if they had a 76-game schedule, not even half the season, I think we asked Tim Doolin several Thursdays ago, what's the minimum needed? He said 100. Then we worked our way down to 81. We all were accepting of it because with this year being the year of years. Mm-hmm. But now to 76, it seems like at max, maybe even 48. If a team got started in a 2-12 schneid, you're going to see a lot of people really not have a lot of professionalism about them.
Well, this whole thing has not been, in my opinion, very professional or love for the game. No message like that whatsoever.
It hadn't been.
And the 48 games, that is just out there to say we've moved a little bit. Come on. I mean, that's a
smidge more than spring training.
Negotiation.
Play about 35 at spring training.
And that's to say if you don't play ball with us, this is what we're going to stick you with. But we're willing,
and we're going to make you play.
If you'll look at this at 76, they could probably get this thing to 81 or 82 games. I mean, come on. 81 is 5 away from where they're at. Sooner or later, Major League Baseball, the owners are going to have to say, we're going to have to give some of that money back. 33% is obviously not going to make it. They see the model is the same no matter which way we present it. So we're going to have to we're going to say they're going to take some of the loss of no fans in the stands, that 40% revenue, which they don't really believe. They don't know what to believe because the books are never shown. At least that's their perception. I know that for a fact. And I do think baseball players have to take some percentage of that. It's nobody's fault that this pandemic is here, and it is reality that they can't.
Oh yeah, it's somebody's fault. It's the communist Chinese fault.
Okay,
it's here. But it is somebody's fault.
But it has nothing to do with anybody in baseball. It is beyond the control of the owners. It is beyond the control of the players. And so there is going to be some financial responsibility at stake here on both sides. But the owners at this point, I think, are going to have to give a little bit more. And it just appears to me they don't really want to. I'm not sure they really want to play the season. You've been saying that all along, and I think the players are now to the point where what's the purpose of doing it?
I agree. And Dave, we will see. This is a little bit of an extreme example, but let's say there's no season. And we've heard about the tenuous nature of the Rays, the Marlins, the A's, the Tigers, the Pirates, the Diamondbacks. I'm forgetting one. There's one more that always pretty much stand out. They're really hurting. I mean, it just they may not be able to go on. Okay, no season. That perilous nature of those franchises, if we don't have at least one team contracted, just can't suit up in 2021, then we know it was hooey. We know they were sitting on a pile of money, or they might be able to have to sell and get out and somebody else assume it, and that might be more likely what happens.
That might be the Mets.
Might be the Mets.
That's
the
New
York
one team.
Mets. Now they've had the triple whammy.
Yeah,
a lot of the Mets was not their fault. What Bernie Madoff did to the Wilpon family. Well, he stole them blind. He broke them.
Yeah,
he broke them, and it's disgraceful. And I don't think Bernie Madoff, no matter what the health situation is, whatever it is, he should sit in jail for the rest of his natural days for what he did to them and to many, many other people that trusted him. I think so. A lot of people are getting out from the virus, but we'll see. But the Mets got the triple whammy of that, and it's a shame. Now, the baseball's not going to let the Mets be contracted. They're not going to let the Mets be moved. They'll go find, hedgefunder.comer, and they'll, like they did with John Henry. They wanted John Henry as a business partner. They went out and found him, got him in with the Marlins, got him to the Red Sox. They'll find somebody like that.
And
what about the Tampa Bay Rays?
Well, I believe they'll find pretty much in every market. You know, I can't imagine they would want to give up a market of a team that's been to World Series, that has had success, even though
they let the Expos go away.
The attendance is terrible. The Expos,
and they might return to Montreal.
Yeah, they could, because they feel like maybe they owed them because they did let them go.
But the Marlins have 2 World Series trophies that they would have to move. The Rays have been to a World Series. They didn't win it, but they've been to one. The Diamondbacks have won one. Pittsburgh Pirates and the Detroit Tigers. Can you really imagine Major League Baseball without those names rattled off? The Tigers and Motown and the Pirates in the Steel City.
I don't believe that baseball would allow that. They will find the right partners, or there will be somebody in that community.
Well, then they got plenty of money. That's my point.
Well,
that's my point. If they can do that,
yeah, somebody's got the money. They'll find the people with the
money. If they can wave that magic wand, then the money's there, or the avenues to it would be there, and why it can't be there for this. There's a lot going on today. It always is on a Monday, even during pandemic. And I love this story, and I can't wait to get David Cobb on this. Rich Sermonello, which he writes for. He is director of college awards at the Maxwell Football Club, NFL draft analyst, co-host of College Football Today on Sports Grid, whatever that is. Mm-hmm. He has put out his top 40 college football coaches under 40, kind of the 40 under 40. Did you ever make any of those lists, Dave?
No.
Is the sharp young man 40 under? I never made one of them either. 30 under 30, 40 under 40. No. Wonder if I can make 60 under 60.
I'm too late for that.
Surely I can make. Can 70 under 70. Do I hear an opening bid for our Wolo? 70 under. So here's the list. Number 1, Lincoln Riley. No, hardly can argue that, can we?
Right. Where's Norvell?
PJ Fleck,
Where's Norvell? PJ Fleck, yeah.
PJ Fleck,
I guess
2.
I can buy that.
Mm-hmm. Mike Norvell, 3.
Okay.
Jeff Scott, South Florida, 4. Look out, American. Number 5, Eli Drinkwitz at Mizzou after that big year at App State. Number 6, Will Healy from Charlotte, and Will Healy's going to get a big job this coming offseason. Number 7, Sean Lewis at Kent State. Number 8, from the University of Memphis Tigers, Ryan Silverfield.
Wow. Now,
he's 0-1.
Can I just say this? And I love Ryan Silverfield, and I do believe he's going to be a great coach. But how can a guy who's
he's 0-1.
0-1, coached one game, even though he's been an unbelievable offensive line coach. If you were saying offensive line coaches under the age of 40, yes. But how can you make that judgment one game in? And I love him, and I think he's right.
I can tell you how.
But I don't know how you do it. There's not that many under 40.
I can tell you how. June 8th.
June 8th, yeah. That's
exactly we need
right.
lists.
Yeah.
we need June 8th.
June 8th without a lot of happening stuff going on, because who knows if we're really going to play.
It also shows the spread from 1 to 4. There is a vast expanse between Lincoln Riley and Jeff Scott, and it really is from Lincoln Riley to Ryan Silverfield.
Right. No doubt. I'd just like to know how many are there that have gotten to the coaching to the head coaching level at the Division I at the FBS level that are under 40. There's not too many.
It'll be a good question to ask Jimmy Sexton, because I don't know if this is accurate or not, but it seems like it to me. It seems like we used to start coaches earlier. Bill Battle hired at 29, Vince Dooley at 31. Bob Stoops, Oklahoma always hires somebody in their 30s. We used to really hand the keys over, it felt like, a little bit younger used to.
Yeah.
Our coaches staying around longer now because the money and the opportunities aren't opening as much.
Well, and I thought it would be the opposite.
I did too, Dave. And
because
it's been,
you in 5 years you can make enough to retire,
make your dough and get out.
Yeah, I am a little bit surprised, but there's also this thing where there's just too much money that's guaranteed to give up on.
I can't walk away
because and if I stick around, even if I don't do such a good job, they got to buy me out.
They'll pay me off.
Yeah, I'm sticking around for that. Hey, I got one.
I think that is. I think that has inhibited the younger strain of head coach because it used to be. I mean, Steve Sloan, he wasn't that far removed from his playing days when he was head coach at Vandy. The Brown boys, Watson and Mack.
Yeah. How old were they when they got their first jobs?
I don't know exactly, but it felt young, didn't it?
Yeah, but I guarantee you they were in their 30s.
In their 30s, yes.
Yeah.
I agree with that, but
yeah.
But I just think our top 40 head coaches under 40 would have been longer years ago.
Maybe so. Maybe so. One last story before we get to top and knot. I got a picture today sent to me via the email of what appears to be a media center arising on the grounds of TPC Southwind. And from my
Let it grow.
lack of construction eyes, although I was a laborer on several construction sites.
Sure. You know contracting.
But it sure did look to me that it was very similar to the media center that we used to have, or that we had last year.
I hope so.
And
I hope so.
Boy, I hope that is the case.
I'll take it from there. You know, we could broadcast from there. We could have last year if things had gone wrong in 18 Dogleg with the Wi-Fi connection. I'll take it any way we can get it. And I just hope somehow we can get back. So you got that photo today. Boy, you do have your sources, Dave.
Hey, I've been around a long time. Do you? I've been around a long time.
70 under 70. Dave, I'm going to say you would be in the top percentile of the 70 under 70.
You know why they never do that? Because anybody who's really done incredible by the age of 70, they're retired.
That's it. But
you've
done
picked
great.
Somebody else to run their empire, and they take all that cash in.
Dave Willotion, you've had a great career. Sounds like we're bidding you goodbye. You're not retiring on me, are you?
I'm not.
Okay, good. Don't go anywhere on me. But I had somebody tell me one time, if you ever get down, this is good for any walk of life. If you ever get down, you think you didn't get that break, you wanted something, you didn't get it, just ask yourself this question. Put on the 10 or 12-year-old or 15-year-old Brett, Drew, or Dave. Drew, for you, you're 25 years old. You put on the film of what life has been like for you from 15 on. When you were 15, would you just said, yeah, I'll take that. I'll sign up for that. I darn sure would. If somebody had set me down at 15 and said, Brett, here's your next 43 years. This is how it's going to play out. Would you take it in a split second?
I would take mine because you know that whichever path you're going to take, you're going to have ups and downs. And for the most part, there have been a lot more ups for me than there have been downs. Drew, you look like you're hesitating. Can't believe it.
No, I mean, I'm happy with where my life is. But, I mean, at 15, I kind of thought my life was going to go in a different direction. So I don't know if you would have told 15-year-old me that this is where it's going to end, I'd be all aboard for it, but I'm pretty happy about it.
Not end.
It's only been 10 years.
Right. At 15-year-old, you probably were pitching for the Baltimore Orioles, right?
That was the plan.
Yeah. That's the way those
towing that rubber at Camden Yards.
Yeah. Beautiful.
But I'm happy with the way the last 10 years have panned out.
I'm glad.
But not ending, only just beginning. We're all happy. We're happy we have Lexus every day as title sponsor of this hour. Thank you so much to the great people at Lexus. That's the official car for the players this week at the Schwab. They're in all those beautiful Lexus cars down in Fort Worth. 2600 Ridgeway in Memphis is where you need to get for one of those beautiful cars. And always online at lexusofmemphis.com. Call them at 901-362-8833. Lexus of Memphis offering the golden opportunity June sales event in time for Father's Day. Great offers on all 2020 models and always on special lease options. Drive in luxury and confidence knowing that every new Lexus comes with complimentary first and second maintenance services. Stop by today at Lexus of Memphis at 2600 Ridgeway and put yourself in the driver's seat of an all-new 2020 flagship LS500. You'll be looking and driving great. Lexus of Memphis, the high standards in the industry. When you purchase a Lexus, you get top-of-the-line engineering and design, and they make for the luxury driving experience. 901-362-8833. Online at lexusofmemphis.com. Experience amazing at Lexus of Memphis.
Top story of the day.
Well, we go to the dashboard. There's only 19 new cases from yesterday to today. If you recall, a week ago, we were almost at 200. It was the largest spike since April. things have calmed down. We did have 2 new deaths, and now we've got a total of 5,927 cases in Shelby County. 127 have passed away. 4,008 have recovered. That's 68.5% of the total cases that we've had now have recovered. We are up to, by the way, 86,512 tests. In the state of Tennessee, 26,000, almost 500 cases now. 418 have passed away. In Mississippi, 17,768, 837 have died. In Arkansas, 9,400 with 154 who've passed away. In the United States, over 2 million cases now, 112,665 fatalities, 763,000 recovered. And folks, we now have 21 million people who have been tested. We are getting those tests in. Worldwide, 7,149,000. So we've passed the 7 million mark. 407,000 have passed away. 3,284,000 have recovered.
I have one virus note. New York Times surveyed 511 epidemiologists. I mean, they're in the battle. They're in the crucible. They're in the pit of the battle, right? Epidemiologists.
Yes, sir.
About when they personally would do an activity again. One of the clear longest wait time activities, attending a sporting event. They said that 511 epidemiologists surveyed, 64% 1 year from now.
Wow. That does
1
not bode
year.
well.
In the fall, 8%.
A lot of us, we sit here and ponder every day. I'm asked about, will there be football this year?
Me too.
Will we be able to go to football this year? And I could not say with any assurances to anything about that. I do think the best thing you can say is we're planning for football to be played, but nothing is assured. Not at this point.
But when the epidemiologists are that scared, now they do kind of any medical field. Is you talk to a dermatologist, man, they wouldn't let you go outside if it were up to them. You talk to a cardiologist, they'd have you push away anything that tastes good. I guess the epidemiologists may be that scared in their realm, but when they're saying that, it certainly gives you some pause. My sports top story, baseball, the boys of summer, about the only sport that may not play this summer. Leadership is so ineffective. Look, the virus has shown this on a lot of fronts. It kind of shows who you have really been and who you really are. And bad times usually do smoke that out. When you're a lout and a bottom feeder, like Rob Manfred was in good times, then guess what? In bad times, it will reveal that he's a lout and a bottom feeder. And this year, I'm going back on what I've already said, even at 76 games, but for sure at 48 games, at 76 games, big O asterisk, big gigantic star asterisk, even if it's my Cardinals. At 48 games, I will never recognize it. I would never say 12-time world champion St. Louis Cardinals. I might say 11 and a quarter.
They won't play 48 games, but they probably won't play more than 80 games.
Not top story of the day.
Well, this comes from tennis. Their first major of the year has been moved out, and it looks like it's going to be the U.S. Open, or supposed to be, on August the 31st. But one of the big three, the Joker, Novak Djokovic, he said because of the extreme protocols, he thinks the U.S. Open will be impossible to play. Amongst the complaints, no access to the borough of Manhattan. You would not be allowed to go to any hotel you wanted to. You'd have to stay out at a hotel by the airport. And you would have to be tested 2 to 3 times per week. Also, one of his complaints were only one person of your team would be allowed. So that would probably be your coach, which means your therapist, your physiologist, anybody else that you've got in your group, your psychiatrist, your nutritionist, whatever he brings.
I need all those things.
They could not come. Only one guy would be allowed, and Djokovic is saying this is impossible.
And he's an extreme anti-vaxxer. He has said that nobody is injecting him with anything. He's very anti-vaccine. So I can't imagine. We talk about the Tigers and the Pirates. Can you imagine the sport of tennis without the Joker? My not top story. It's a very sad story, and it's from this area over in Poinsett County in Lepanto, Arkansas, from the bridge about 45 minutes to an hour. And it's the Malik Monk story. I didn't even know it. It's very sad. He was hailed as the greatest high school basketball player coming through in Arkansas. I took a little exception of that during the years. I can name 5 quickly without even thinking about. I know that was better than Malik Monk, Keith Lee, Sidney Moncrief, Michael Cage, Ron Brewer, Corliss Williams, and I hadn't even been thinking about it. But he was a great player.
Yep.
Didn't go to Memphis, didn't go to Arkansas, went to Kentucky, and it's very sad. I hope he's getting himself on the better footing for the relaunch. Charlotte's not in it, though, are they?
No.
For the next year when he returns. We used to have a texter in this time period, and he or she quit about a year or so ago, texting every Grizzlies ill known to sports kind. Malik Monk would have fixed it.
Right.
They should have drafted him. They should trade for him. And after a long time of responding, he's just not that good. Now we may know why.
What is exactly the story?
Heavy cocaine addiction.
That is really, truly sad and not easy to mentally overcome. Let's hope.
Very sad. But
that
at least
can.
he's alive.
Yep.
And he can get better.
Yep. Let's hope that he does that for sure. So those are your top and your not top stories. I can't wait. Ted Butler joins us because we play the Schwab on Thursday. We'll get his thoughts on golf locally here and of course the PGA Tour. Ted Butler is next.
Greg Gaston and Eli Savoy get you through the midday with Sports 56 Middays. Delivered by FedEx. Weekdays from 10 till 1 on Sports 56, 96.1 and 87.7.
The PGA Tour is back this weekend. And even though the trophy is reserved for the winner, the big cash prizes don't have to be. DraftKings, the official daily fantasy game of the PGA Tour, is putting you in the center of the action with a free shot at a $1 million top prize with your first deposit. It's easy to play. Just pick 6 golfers, stay under the salary cap, and submit your lineup before the tournament tees off on Thursday. Then sit back and follow the action. The more red numbers they have on the leaderboard, the closer you'll be to winning some green. Rack up points for pars, birdies, finishing position, and more. Download the DraftKings app now and use code HERD to get a free shot at the $1 million top prize with your first deposit. That's code HERD to get a free shot at $1 million with your first deposit, only at DraftKings. Minimum $5 deposit required. Deposit bonus requires a 25 times playthrough. Eligibility restrictions apply. See DraftKings.com for details.
Just because you can boil water doesn't mean you should run a restaurant. Same logic goes for identity theft protection. You may be good at monitoring your credit, but that doesn't make you an authority. Plus, with data breaches that seem to happen more often, your personal info could end up anywhere. And with your breached info, criminals could commit identity theft, which is even more reason for you to use a pro. Because on your own, you could miss certain identity threats, like somebody taking out a payday loan in your name or selling your info on the dark web. That's why LifeLock sees a wide range of identity threats. Nobody prevents all identity theft or monitors all transactions at all businesses. But if you end up with an identity theft issue, a dedicated specialist can work to fix it. So keep boiling water like a champ, but leave the identity theft protection to LifeLock. Join now, and in fact, save up to 25% off your first year. Just go to LifeLock.com. The promo code is always HERD, H-E-R-D. That's LifeLock.com, code HERD, for 25% off.
Now, back to Sports Time on Sports 56 with Wolo and Stats. This hour of Sports Time is brought to you by Lexus of Memphis. Here once again are Dave Woloshin and Brett Norsworthy.
Welcome back into the Family Leisure Studios. A reminder, they're just making it easy for you to stay at home. They want your house, your backyard to be more enjoyable for your family all summer long. We are doing more of these things we call staycations, and they will do it, whether it's to schedule an appointment, place an order, just to stay safe. They have unbelievable thing called contactless purchasing. You have it just made so easy for you, and you can get complete pool packages starting at under $1,600. 24-foot pool starting at under $2,000, same price, $19.99 for a 4-person spa. The big spas, the swim spas, they start at under $10,000. Those high-quality swing sets you see, you go, oh, I wish I had that for my kid. You can get them. They have a huge discount going right now, down to $21.99 from $34.99. Now's the time to be creative. Make your backyard a vacation place, a staycation place. Do it with family leisure. So Brett Norsworthy writes on our little call screen here where we can communicate with each other. Never been so happy to see Ted Butler on that call screen. And now I'm the same way. I've been excited about
Would love to see him in person like we normally get to, but 2 months later, I am so glad to be talking to him.
Me too. And we're all being socially distanced safe. That's the way it goes. We appreciate the Flynn Broadcasting Company doing that for us. And Ted calls us now. And we always appreciate your time, and it is good to talk with you. Are you excited about Thursday in the Schwab?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Any kind of golf at all that's not a rerun of 1927 golf tournaments, it's great. I'm really looking forward to it.
I got to tell you a quick story. Yesterday, I played Fox Meadows, which is, by the way, in really good shape, and they were having a junior tournament out there. And I saw Rachel Heck, who was going to caddy for some 10-year-old little girl. I don't know if it was a member of her family or a friend of the family, whatever it was. She's caddying. I mean, that was really incredible, and she was talking about she'd been one of those invited to go play Augusta. She didn't get to do that. She missed out on all the tournaments this year. Her senior year, where she probably would have won the state championship again, and she's getting ready to go to Stanford. But, Ted, I asked her about one of my favorite pupils of yours, Aubrey Jones, and found out she got married. So I got to congratulate you.
She got married Saturday, as a matter of fact. And she's got one more year of school to go, but her golf priorities have been a little bit off the charts lately.
So I take it that's the end of the golf career, and
no.
She's
She's got one more year at Mississippi State, and I think she's gonna keep playing. I don't think it's going to try and go on to the the pros of the tour or anything, because we've talked about it numerous times. And he says the gals out there right now are so good. They're shooting 25 under par at a tournament. She goes, I'm barely breaking par. I don't know. The tour may not be my life.
Ted, you really are. You really have accomplished in your golf career the father status, the grandfatherly status. You've seen, I would imagine now you are giving lessons and instruction and helping grandchildren of people that you help teach.
It is third generation. Absolutely. The grandfather and the dad.
That's a credit to you.
Well, yes, I'm still standing, I guess. I have several quite a few actually, 3-generation girls, kids that I've been teaching. It's really something.
All right. Which is the best combination? Seriously, this is going to be tough. The best combination grandparent, grandchild that you've given lessons to that might be competitive golfers?
Yikes. I'd have to think about that for a while. But
any of the Wittenbergs would be the answer, wouldn't
it? Yeah, I'd have to think about that one, Dave. I don't know. This goes back a long ways. I got to think about that for a little while. Right, Give me another one.
We'll let you
chew
Ted,
on that. You're that accomplished, and I know every year you've been. How long have you been doing a radio show? Did you go back to George at REC or when he came to WHBQ in '92?
28 years ago, whenever that is. 28 or 29 years ago we started. Yeah.
After
92.
After
that's
left
right. That's the year. That's when I started with George, right?
Yeah, and every year, kind of on the first day with him, you always kind of give, not the sermonette, and you never get preachified, but the fundamentals of golf, teach somebody the right way, grip and stance.
Absolutely. The grips have changed some over the years as these guys are getting stronger and more athletic. They rotate their bodies better. They're going more towards a stronger grip. Both hands being turned a little bit to the right on the club, which back in our day we weren't strong enough, would make you hit duck hooks. But now they're so core strength and back strength, they can turn through the ball so fast with a closed face and actually fade the ball. And that's a huge difference from a long time ago when I started doing this stuff.
Is that what DJ does?
Yeah, absolutely. DJ does it. Koepka's got a little bit of it. There's quite a few of them out there. At the top of the wrist, you can see that left wrist, it kind of bows a little bit. And it enables you to turn through the ball really fast. And you see all the exercise these guys do now, how strong they are through the middle. Mm-hmm. And their thighs, and they're just much, much better athletes than it was a long time ago.
This is you really just described Gary Woodland, the reigning U.S. Open champion.
Right.
You
Woodland,
just
right.
perfectly described him.
Yeah, absolutely. The tour guys, they're all in such good shape. In fact, I gave a lesson to a physical fitness guy the other day, and he's talking about all these drills that he gives these guys that you can't even never even heard of when I was playing golf. Just the strong equipment, the strong players. It's just a little different.
No doubt.
I'll tell you who he was like. Although Palmer, not with the grip, Arnold Palmer had that bowed left wrist at the top of the swing, and he had that real weird-looking finish. The Arnie finish,
sure.
And that was the key from hooking the ball. He had a shut face at the top, and the only way he could not duck hook it was that twirly bird finish, like Patrick Reed does sometimes. So things are, who knows where they're going.
Since you brought up grip, I've often, it must be against the rules, but I've seen training aids, some of those heavy clubs that you warm up with that have the grip. Basically, the bottom of the club is the proper grip, and it's formed that way so your hand goes perfectly into the club. And I often wondered why they just didn't do that with a regular club. Is that illegal? It must be.
Yeah, no, it's illegal. You can't play golf with that. You can practice with it, and the difficulty in that comes because I've got 3 or 4 of those things in my room that everybody's hands are different sized. And you can't get the thumbs and the fingers in the same place for it. It's better than nothing, but it doesn't suit everybody's hands.
That would be helpful if you could do that. You would never ever grip the club wrong. That is for certain.
Yeah, but you still got to swing it.
You do still have to swing it. No doubt about it. All right, they're swinging for real this week in Fort Worth. And have you seen some of these groups? It's Rory McIlroy, John Rahm, Brooks Koepka in one threesome. Justin Thomas, Jordan Spieth, Ricky Fowler in another. Phil, Gary Woodland, you just mentioned, Kevin Na in another. Dustin Johnson, Bryson DeChambeau, Justin Rose in another. I'm not talking about Im, who's been hot, and all these other great players. Matthew Wolff, who's now becoming a name. All these players, 16 of the top 20, will be in Fort Worth. What a great way, Ted, to start the year. Who's the guy you're most interested in seeing?
Well, I think this is going to be a year for Rory McIlroy. He's been getting closer and closer, and last year he had a really strong year, and he seems really enthused about it now. I think this could be a big one for him. Koepka, I guess he's over the injury. DJ, I don't know how much enthusiasm he's got. Justin Rose, they're all good. John Rahm, there's so many of them that could just get a break here and there and win a couple tournaments in a row, and who knows?
How concerned are you, Ted? How concerned are you about rusty play, this 91-day gap between the time the tour suspended and resuming represents the tour's longest unscheduled break from competition since World War II, 105 days from September 3 of 43 to December 17th of 1943. How concerned are you about rusty play?
I'm sure there'll be a little bit in the beginning. The first round or two could be a little shaky, but it's not like they haven't been playing golf, and they didn't forget how. Sure, they've been hitting balls and playing money games with their buddies, and I'm not too concerned with that. Those guys are so good; they'll get it back quick.
Well, and also here's the difference. In World War II, they didn't have computers in your house with screens that allow you to practice every shot and see what the result is.
Absolutely.
These things now are absolutely
High
amazing, and every player pretty much has them, don't they?
Yeah, and deservedly so, because they're so accurate in the launch angles, the curvature, how far you really hit the ball. Your standard 5-iron goes for those guys 200 yards, and they can measure it if you take a little off and cut it. It goes 186. You can turn it down and hood it a little bit and hit it 210. These things we couldn't ever figure out before because you couldn't see the ball land exactly. Your caddy was out there and he was just trying to live. But now you can hit any kind of shot, a 50-yard wedge. You can work on your trajectory. 32-degree angle, 34-degree angle. It's so specific and accurate that it's a great thing for the tour. And everybody, well, the average person gets too boggled down in these numbers, but the tour guys, it's really worth it.
Ted, every year we seem to get something that's new. It could be a hybrid. It could be rangefinders. It could be years ago they went to like a 64-degree lob wedge. There's always some new piece of equipment or something that sort of makes the game a little different or a little bit more interesting. Is there anything out there that you've seen in the last year or so that really makes you think, I got to get that?
Well, I think the TrackMan stuff, of course, that's been around for a few years, but that kind of technology for a young golfer coming up would be fantastic. The pro tracers we've got at the range now are really good for the average player. It's not quite on the exact money as the balls and stuff the tour guys use, but anytime you can get information on how high you're hitting and how far you're really carrying it, those kind of things are just tremendous helps.
You mentioned the guys you think, Rory in particular, will have a great year this year. What about Tiger?
He's going to have the better one, though.
You
think about this.
Do you think
now.
Tiger will have the better year of Rory?
Tiger hit the ball so well in that match under those conditions. I mean, he didn't miss fairway. He is swinging the club so well, and if he stays healthy, just think he could win 2 Masters in 6 months.
Now,
win one in November, one in April.
Not that I'm not believing in him, because you're right. He looked terrific, but he was also playing 2 NFL quarterbacks and a 50-year-old guy. It's not like he was taking on Rory or any of these guys.
No. He was taking on Phil. That's not a 50-year-old guy. That's his arch enemy. when Phil started talking about the $10 million that he won, and then Tiger leaned back and pulled up his green jacket and said, "It's a little chilly in here." I mean, it was so funny. But
there's a lot of shade.
Anyway, you get top athletes like that, and the shots they hit on the 17th hole, all of them, Brady and Phil hit it close, and then Peyton hits it 17 inches. There was some pretty competitive stuff down the stretch.
It was fun. There is no doubt.
I'm looking forward to Tiger this year. I hope he stays healthy, and it could be just thinking, winning 2 Masters in the year. Wow. Thanks.
Well,
that would shorten that list of Nichols, wouldn't it?
That would get to 16 right there.
Ted, I think most would take 1 in a lifetime, much less 2 in 6 months.
Absolutely. But I'm ready for golf to come back. It's
me too.
Long weekends,
What about the defending champion of the WGC, Memphis, Brooks Koepka? What kind of year do you expect from him?
I expect a good one in the majors. I'm assuming he's pain-free now. It's been long enough; he should be healed. But he's a tough guy. You know, he hits the ball a mile. He hits it straight, and he likes to stare down the other guys, and he's not afraid of any of them. There's several guys out there that could, with a little break here and there, get really hot.
One guy we have not mentioned, I might have mentioned him at the very beginning. He played the best of any foreign player in the President's Cup. And I can't remember if he's from Korea or from Japan, to be honest with you, but it's Im, I-M.
Im,
yeah.
Right, Im. I've thought about him, too. Doesn't he play every week? Isn't he?
He's a little like Vijay Singh used to be, yeah.
Marathon man.
Yeah, and those guys that play golf every week, they make a lot of money, but it's hard to win. I'm not sure why, but, you know, Kuchar was like that, and back in the old days, Bruce Crampton was like that. They played all the time, but hardly won tournaments. It's, I guess, every week. Somebody gets hot.
Charles Howell's a little like that now.
Oh, yeah. I mean, he's been playing, what's he won, 2 tournaments?
Charles Howell came up with David Gossett. That's how long he's been playing.
Yep.
Yeah, and he plays
That's right. In fact,
every
when
weekend.
When I was teaching David on the way up years ago, his goal was to beat Charles Howell. He was the guy, you know, that everybody that he was after. He said, he's the guy that inspires me. When I beat him, I'll be happy. Unfortunately, it never happened.
Just think about how long ago that was. That is pretty impressive that Howell is still around and playing. All right, last story for Ted Butler. We're so glad to have him back every Monday at 3:30, and that has to do with Vijay Singh. Vijay just withdrew from the Korn Ferry Tour event that he was going to play because enough of those younger players were upset, even though he can play any PGA Tour event he wants to, because he's won over 20 events, and that gives you, unless people with status above you, in other words, world ranking, and he's not high enough at this point to get into the Schwab, but you can go somewhere else. He was going to play just to keep really getting ready for the Senior Tour, the Champions Tour in a little bit. He wanted to play in that, and there was enough people that came down on him that he withdrew. Actually, Phil Mickelson, who's not best friends with Vijay, came to Vijay's aid. What do you think about that story?
Wow. I think he ought to play. I mean, he's certainly earned the right to play golf anywhere around the world he wanted to. One guy that's going to not be there because of him, I don't know. I guess he got rich enough that he could say, "Oh, I'm making a spot for a young player." But you know, you're competitive out there. You're not trying to patsy your way around. I think he ought to play.
Well, he got enough, I guess, guff from the Korn Ferry Tour players taking up a spot for a young guy that's trying to work his way up that he succumbed to the pressure.
There's two sides of it. Yeah. I get both sides of it.
I tend to be with your side. I think if you've earned that over a legacy, over a lifetime, that if you're not going to do it every week, you're just trying to get in shape for yourself against competition. I think you should be able to. I think he's earned that.
Well, right, his time is running out on the tour, and there's these young guys are coming up. They've got 30 years to work on their games. I think he should be. If you wanted to do it. Ted,
so great to hear your voice. Thank you, my friend. We appreciate it. We'll
look
forward to this on a weekly basis.
Okay. Talk to you next week.
You got it. Ted Butler.
Thank you, Ted.
Ted Butler over at it's
Summer Golfing Games.
Summer Golfing Games. Thank you. I knew it was Golfing Games. I couldn't remember. It's no longer putt-putt, but that's what it used to be for those of you who want to know.
That's what it used to be, and he's been there a while. And you know that Korn Ferry event this weekend will be at Ponte Vedra at the mothership at TPC Sawgrass.
Right. I did know that. We have to take a quick timeout. Back with a wrap of hour number 1 in just 1 minute.
Sports 56 Mornings with Peter Edmiston and C.J. Hertz. Weekdays from 7 to 10. Only on Sports 56, 96.1, and 87.7 FM.
The landscape is so beautiful at Town Village Audubon Park. Nestled in the heart of East Memphis, located corner of Park and Cherry, is a beautiful residential neighborhood. Looking for a great place to retire, but you still have a very active lifestyle? Then visit Town Village, Only requirements that you're 55 plus. Prices per month starting at $24.50. The Gourmet Chef welcomes you to visit our restaurant and bistro. Package includes 3 complimentary meals per day, maid service, free local transportation, monthly coffee club, themed dinner parties, lots of fun. Visit us and call Daniel or Bo at Town Village Audubon Park at 901-374-7342. There's no place like home. Town Village Audubon Park.
Do you know one of the best things you can do for your employees or family's health? Provide Arctic Clear bottled water. Arctic Clear bottled water is your locally owned and operated bottled water provider. Arctic Clear is 100% natural spring water with free delivery and setup, dependable service, and no long-term contracts. What an easy choice. Call Jeff Manus today, 901-382-2363, or visit arctic-clear.com. Arctic Clear bottled water. Call now, 382-2363. That's 382-2363.
O'Reilly. When you need auto parts, O'ReillyAuto.com is just a few clicks away. We offer convenient options for you to get your parts quickly. Order online and pick up for free at your local O'Reilly Auto Parts store. We'll even bring it out curbside. Or you can have your parts delivered right to your door with free shipping on most orders over $35. Visit O'ReillyAuto.com.
O'Reilly Auto Parts.
Now, back to Sports Time on Sports 56 with Wolo and Stats. This hour of Sports Time is brought to you by Lexus of Memphis. Here once again are Dave Woloshin and Brett Norsworthy.
Welcome back in. We talked a little golf, a little baseball today. A little later, I got to talk college basketball, college football. David Cobb will join us. Steve Selby with more on baseball. Jimmy Sexton on a whole bunch of different topics. I'm really looking forward to chatting with him. Did you see the Dennis Dodd tweet in reaction to the Major League Baseball owners' presentation, the 76 games, 75% of prorated salaries? What his first tweet was?
I didn't. I don't follow Dennis. I didn't.
Okay. It's good. He wrote in response to that offer, he said, just 9 months until pitchers and catchers report.
And won't it be a different landscape for baseball then compared to now? Baseball had gone through labor peace, franchise values through the roof, prices, everything through the roof, Dave. And, it's outrageously priced to go to a Major League Baseball game. There's no cheap anything. You can't go austerely to baseball. Everything's expensive. Wonder if it'll be that after this.
Well, I hate to say it, but that is true of all pro sports because there are such high salaries and there are so many markups at so many different levels that what could be a $1.50 bottle of water comes out to $5.
You can go to FedEx Forum to a Grizzlies game inexpensively. You can. Now, your seat is a long way from the action.
And you're not
baseball.
You're not drinking their beer.
Not many of them. Baseball, you're a long way from the action, and it is still very expensive.
Yeah, no, I agree, but I think that is really true of all the major professional sports.
Mostly true.
Yeah,
mostly it is. But we'll see if baseball pays the price, and we'll see if people get mad at it and stay mad at it. I'm going to get plenty mad at it. I won't stay mad at it as long as I can halfway afford to go to 2 or 3 games a year. And I know as soon as the 2021 schedule comes out, first thing I'm going to look at, it's going to be interleague play. Next year's the American League Central. See when Cleveland comes to St. Louis, I want to see them. I want to see the Cardinals win over them. I've seen them. I haven't seen them. The Cardinals beat them. Only seen them twice at Busch Stadium, both losses. But I'll take my happy self right back up there and thank you again. Give me more.
That might not be interleague play. Think about it.
Might not be, Dave.
It could be the National League
right.
Central, the American League Central is just MLB Central. Because
it could be just
there are
baseball.
Plenty of people think
just like the umpires are now. No more American League, National League.
Well,
we'll see.
You'd have
I wish baseball well.
You'd have basically three 3 divisions, 3 leagues. If you want to put it would be MLB Central, MLB East, and MLB West if they're going to go geographical. And you could watch Cleveland and St. Louis on a regular basis, or the White Sox and the Cardinals on a regular basis. Who knows?
Rob Manfred got lucky. About any moron could have been in that position and had these great years. Then you hit a tough stretch, and his true colors really showed. They really showed before Congress at the day of that Mark McGwire couldn't see and Rafael Palmeiro and Sammy Sosa couldn't hear.
Well, no, Sammy could hear, but he didn't know English. Remember?
Yeah. And Manfred was just as disgraceful Sammy that day, but was bailed out by them.
I love Sammy until that moment. That moment really made me angry. That's an hour in the books. When we return, our friend David Cobb from CBSSports.com, he will come your way. Stick around.
DeSoto Auto Sales specializes in late model cars with low mileage. They have the highest standards in the car industry. All of their cars are test driven, checked out from head to toe, unlimited inventory, every make and model. And if it's not on the lot, they'll find it for you. Walk in the door of DeSoto Auto Sales, 5704 Goodman Road. Within 45 minutes, you can test your car, get credit approval, and finish paperwork within an hour. No shortcuts at DeSoto Auto Sales. Kind, courteous employees, a down-home environment. DeSoto Auto Sales cares about your time. Lowest prices in a 350-mile radius. We're living in a world today where time does matter. Visit them online. Check out their referrals. DeSotoAutosales.com. Very proud to serve DeSoto County and other surrounding areas. DeSoto Auto Sales, 5704 Goodman Road. Call 662-890-7184. 662-890-7184. Come on down to DeSoto Auto Sales.
Brian Elder's Roofing Solutions.
Chris Price here for Brian Elder Roofing. The storms we've had over the past several months have been devastating to our communities. The rainy season is ahead. You may have not even noticed the dripping in your attic, water stains throughout your home, or even worse, mold and mildew. Please call Brian Elder Roofing and we will send out our project managers to assess any damage. We will not try to sell you a roof if all you need is a repair. We will measure your roof from outer space. 0% for 60 months, even no payments till 2022 are available with approved credit. If you've noticed missing shingles, water stains, leaks in your roof, call us before you call your insurance company at 867-0303. That's 867-0303, and we will provide a free, thorough inspection of your roof's condition.
Call 867-0303. Brian Elder's Roofing Solutions.
Listen Sundays at 11 a.m. to join Idlewild Presbyterian Church for worship. Idlewild is a PCUSA church located in Midtown Memphis.
We are Sports 56 WHBQ Memphis, WIVG-FM Tunica Memphis, and WPG-FLP Memphis. Flynn Broadcasting Stations. Now, more of Sports Time on Sports 56 with Wolo and Stats. This hour of Sports Time is brought to you by Homer Skelton Hyundai. Here once again are Dave Woloshin and Brad Norsworthy.
Welcome in our number 2 of Wolo and Stats with you, right here on Sports 56. So good to have you aboard. It looks like a little bit of rain coming your way. We should have this till mid-afternoon, and then really we're going to be in a stretch of beautiful, beautiful weather. We know with the Schwab is going to take place on Thursday. We were talking with Ted Butler about that. We mentioned some things, and our friend Chuck Galena wrote to me the final pairing of the 2000, so that's 20 years ago, right? The 2000 NCAA men's golf championship that was at Auburn's Grand National Course, which I've played, is really gorgeous and hard. The final pairing in that, Stats, David Gossett, Charles Howell, Matt Kuchar. How about that?
And all have won on tour. David Gossett did on tour, and all three were I don't know if they were dubbed the next Tiger Woods, but they were dubbed the next big challenge to him. Casey Wittenberg had that.
Sure.
Bryce Mulder from Conway, Arkansas had that. And a lot took their swing, and it showed how hard it is, but how hard historically to knock off either the greatest or the second greatest player ever.
Well,
it wasn't going to be done by mere mortals.
Well, David Gossett won an U.S. Amateur, if I recall correctly.
Casey was runner-up.
And Casey was a runner-up, but he was the low amateur twice, wasn't he, at Augusta?
At Augusta.
I mean, he was incredible.
And had a top 8 finish and an automatic invitation a time or two.
And as long as
at
Charles
Augusta.
Howell has been around, I think of all the names we just mentioned, we'd have to give the nod to Kuchar.
Great player.
Kuchar being the most successful of all those players over time. Great.
Oh yeah, but you would trade for Charles Howell's checkbook.
I think Matt Kuchar's probably got a little bit more. I mean, if I'm going to trade, I want as much as I can get, don't I?
But Charles Howell's had the fabulous life.
Charles Howell's had a great
Kuchar's
life.
had the better one, yeah.
Yeah. I would take any of their lives for, as good as they were. And
there was a time that we thought David Gossett would be bigger than that.
Oh, yeah. How many
but it happens.
How many U.S. amateur champions don't go on to really, really excellent careers on the PGA
Well, there have been a lot, really. There have been a lot. Well, Nathaniel Crosby sure didn't. Sam Randolph sure didn't.
No, you're right. There have been those, but I would say for the most part, if you win a U.S. amateur, you have a good shot at winning a major.
I don't know. We might look at that. I don't know if that's the case.
I could be wrong. That's just my gut feel, but it could be wrong. Could very well be wrong.
Fred Ridley sure didn't, and he went on to be chairman of Augusta National, but he didn't go into a fabulous pro golf career.
Can I trade that life? Can I get that one?
I would rather have that one than Matt Kuchar's.
Maybe so. Maybe so. David Cobb joins us every Monday in this time slot. We talk college football. We talk college basketball. Hey, we might talk a little golf with him. David, are you excited about Thursday?
Yeah, I was actually looking this morning at getting the PGA Tour Live thing that allows you to start watching it, 4 hours before it comes on the Golf Channel or whatever. And hearing you guys talk about David Gossett reminded me of one of my favorite stories I did when I was at the Commercial Appeal. Just a few days after, it was maybe a week or two after the WGC event here in town, I did something on the old Memphis Mafia, as they were known. 6 guys who, in the late 90s, early 2000s, all from Memphis, all on tour at the same time. And, none of them were superstars, but, obviously you had McKeel won the PGA Championship, and Lauren Roberts, who was a really, really good player. And that was a special time in our city's sort of golf scene. And, I'm excited. I'm excited for golf. There's no doubt about that.
I guess we're excited also about college football returning to campuses. Players, U of M, a couple of days ago, they all came and I guess got tested, got physicals. We know at Alabama and Auburn there were some cases of COVID that they brought with them. That seems to, really have been taken care of without too much controversy. Give me your sense, David, what you just think, talking to coaches. Are we going to have a season, and will it be on time?
Yeah, I think so. You're seeing more and more of these. They're popping up. Even just this afternoon, there's been a few of them. We just had an internal discussion about, are we going to do a story about Texas Tech's basketball team having somebody who tests positive in that program? And we decided no, that we're not going to do a story on it, because we're starting to think that these are going to become pretty common. And for an organization as big as a college football program to have a couple of positive cases, it might not be the earth-shattering thing that maybe we thought it was going to be a few months ago, especially today with the WHO coming out and saying something to the effect of asymptomatic carriers not being as big of a risk as maybe we originally thought. And if that's the case, then 1 or 2 people in a football program getting it is maybe not the cause for alarm that we assumed it would be. And I think that bodes very well for the possibility of an on-time start. And I'm still skeptical about fans in the stands. I'm still skeptical about that, but I do think that in spite of the continued presence of COVID-19, that we're sort of starting to come to grips with the fact that we're going to have to live with it. And, we're at a unique time right now where athletes have a voice and a platform, unless they're at Iowa where they try and censor their use of Twitter, where if guys were uncomfortable playing, I think it would be known. And I think guys want to be back on campus. I think players want that structure. They want the facilities, and they want the nutrition, and they probably just want to be around, their friends and their teammates, and maybe even to a certain extent their coaches. So I think we're trending in the right direction, and I think the players, if they are uncomfortable, have a platform to use their voices to tell us that. And to this point, it's not something that we've seen.
And David, you are so right about and kind of lost in the news today, and it's a lot of news out there, but we can do more than one thing at a time, and that is the story from the World Health Organization, no less than the World Health Organization. Usually people go to them as a source, and today, asymptomatic spread of coronavirus, very rare, very rare. Government responses should focus on detecting and isolating infected people with symptoms. Preliminary evidence from the earliest outbreaks indicate the virus could spread even if people didn't have symptoms, but asymptomatic spread is very rare.
Well, and I know you're not afraid of it, Stats, because I absolutely love the picture. I mean, it needs to be framed and put in the studio, put in your house. It needs to be framed and put in the press box at Ole Miss. The picture of you walking down the stairs at the rendezvous, man. That is one of my favorite pictures of all time.
I'm not scared.
Wait, you got to remember the big part of that was with his Rolling Stones belt on.
I know. I absolutely thought that was going to be an SEC belt. So I was on vacation last week, and I kind of got off of social media. But I got back on, and it showed up on my timeline, and I noticed that belt. I thought he was wearing his SEC belt, but it wasn't his SEC belt. It was a Rolling Stone.
I don't have an SEC belt.
You don't?
I don't have an SEC belt because I'm not wearing any other team in the SEC other than the Ole Miss Rebels. That's why I don't have an SEC belt. My mother wanted to buy me one of those nice ones, one of those braided belts. I said I wouldn't be caught with another logo on other than Ole Miss from the SEC.
Right, well,
so,
do you agree? That needs to be framed.
But I'm not scared, David.
Yeah.
Oh, come on now. but I'm not scared. I want to be cautious. I respect those that are. If you are reticent to go, I would tell you, please don't go. If you think you have predisposition, please don't go. But for the rest of us, don't shame us. We're going to live, and if there's a downside, then then my attitude will change when I see the evidence. But right now, from the alphabet soup of medical authorities, not somebody that passed high school biology, but from medical authorities, they're saying very rare.
Yeah. So, and the athletes themselves, I mean, are among the most well-conditioned people in our society. So I would think that they are uniquely equipped to withstand any effects of it. I mean, the next conversation, and it's one we're already having, it becomes what of some of the older coaches who, by the mere fact of their age, are, according to these organizations, more likely to be susceptible to the disease and to get it with severe complications. So that's probably a discussion that's on deck that we'll have in future weeks. Nick Saban, he's north of 65, I think, and there's others like him who are like that, and not just in football, but in a lot of them. Basketball.
He'll turn 69 in the season, and even Kirk Ferentz, who's in the news, he is older, and there are other older coaches, and we all want safety and precaution, but the timeline's being laid out for college football's return, and David, I like the calendar as I see it today from the College Football Advisory Committee.
Yeah, and before I let that thought on the coaches pass too, it's worth noting that Hugh Freeze proved to us last season that you can coach from the press box on a hospital bed if you have to. So I don't think that's a prohibitive concern. I'm just kind of looking into the crystal ball and thinking about things that are probably going to come up when the naysayers need kind of something else to latch on to. It might be the coaches. But yes, I do think that the timelines that have been laid out even today are indicative of the fact that we're going to have college football season. That makes me really happy. We need college football. I know you and I need it, Stats and Wolo. I think you do too. So I think we're heading in the right direction. Yeah.
We need school.
We need school. We do. Otherwise, we're going to see colleges go under. Colleges that are important to all of our communities, and that would be awful. And I don't think that's the case of the University of Memphis. And I'll tell you an interesting story I read today. I did not realize that last year the University of Memphis Athletic Department generated almost $56 million. Now, part of that was a 28% increase in football attendance. And David, you were just talking a little bit about fans in the stands. Now, if you're in a league that generates $40 million worth of television revenue, you can go a year for certain without that. I don't know if you're the University of Memphis, and I hope they can. And I know they're going to take a $2.5 million shortfall this past year because of no NCAA basketball money. But I don't know if you could go a whole year without football and basketball and not have ramifications if you're not in one of those leagues that has that kind of television revenue. Memphis brought in $56 million because they had great attendance in football. They had great attendance in basketball, and they had great donations. If you're not a fan in the stands, you don't feel that same empathy or connection to that team. The odds are you're not going to donate as much. It would be the triple crown of loss if there's no fans in the stands for both football and basketball seasons.
Yeah, but look at it this way. Think about even if tomorrow all the conferences, all the schools, and Mark Emmert signs off on it. Everybody agrees that, hey, you know what? We're going to have fans in the stands like normal. You guys can pack in like sardines if you want to. We're not going to stop you. Game on. Even if they go to that measure and they do it tomorrow and give the athletic marketing departments, a couple of months to sell season tickets, under that knowledge, I still think there's going to be an attendance crisis, even if fans are allowed, because
I agree.
There's going to be at least a quarter of the population that is still skeptical or still squeamish. At least for the first few weeks until it's proven that, getting 60,000+ people together isn't going to have some adverse effects. So I think either way, this is going to be a challenge. And I think even if they cleared it tomorrow, there's still going to be a red line and a deficit in that column for almost every athletic department.
And crowds were already hurting at a lot of places. A lot of factors, the TVs at home, the time of games, the volatile schedule. You don't know really kickoff time from about 6 to 12 days out. The pricing structure of college football has gotten outrageous. It was already in decline, and now this could severely hit it, even if we were to jump out at, come one, come all to college football. David, it was a sport already hurting, and with that, talking about the money side, and I get this from our buddy at Super Talk Mississippi at Michael Borky. He tweeted today, last year at Ole Miss sporting events, and they started allowing alcohol sales in October, and as Michael said in his tweet, from a few poorly attended football games, one basketball season, and a baseball season that didn't even see conference play, y'all know how much Ole Miss made off of alcohol sales? Again, poorly attended football, one full basketball, and not even a baseball season that they had conference play. $400,000.
Yeah. Well, this is the time to get creative. They need to squeeze every ounce of revenue be it alcohol sales, creative, like immersive experiences that maybe some fans would be willing to pay a premium price for in terms of, being more liberal with your sideline access, which normally I would not be an advocate of because everybody and their mother seems to be on the sidelines now. But, things like that. And then
Way
from
too
a
many.
TV stand-
Well, that'll get cleaned up. I am certain that they will be more protective, bubbly like, where travel parties even may be trimmed down greatly. I don't think they'll allow that many people on the sideline like they have. I do think that will get cleaned up. What is interesting to me is that we won't have any kind of uniform thing. It's not like Mark Emmert's going to be able to go, okay, 50% for everybody, because government and health departments are going to have their say in what each area will do. And so each is going to be a
Mark
different
Emmert's
story.
going to have no say.
Yeah, exactly. I just hope, just to overcome some of the losses, that at least 25 to 50% of your capacity are allowed in.
Yeah, I mean, let's hope so, because like you said, Wolo, the conferences that don't get, just millions and millions and millions of dollars out of their TV contracts are going to need that money. And on the TV subject, I think there's creative avenues there to maximize revenue. Now it would be on the networks to be benevolent and to work together with the conferences and with the schools to come up with some creative means of maximizing revenue. But I'm talking all the way down to, and I know this wouldn't be ideal, but think about the 30 seconds sometimes between plays. You could go split screen advertisement, even if it's not something with audio, with an audio component to it. You could go still have the announcers talking. You go split screen for 30 seconds, let a visual demonstration of some sort of product on there, and there's dollars in the pocket right there. And so, look, I'm not an advertising executive, and I'm not a marketing professional, but I think those who are talented in those fields are really going to be the cream of the crop, and really going to shine right now in this kind of time, because we got to be creative about getting every dollar out of this that we can. And so, those who have forward-thinking ideas are going to, honestly, kind of light the way for college sports, because it's going to take some creativity. It's going to take a little bit of ingenuity to recoup. Like I said, there's going to be, even if they say tomorrow that you can go to the games like normal, still think there's going to be a deficit in that attendance column, and they're going to have to recoup that somehow.
Yeah, David, the Iowa story, y'all help me. As I understand it, as much as I've read about it, not that I'm that plugged in on Iowa, but I have said many times, I respect, since 1979, they've had two football coaches, Hayden Fry and Kirk Ferentz, and a lot of places in the SEC would be well served to recognize we're more Iowa, if anything, than we are Alabama, and maybe we need to quit changing coaches every 3 or 4 years. But as I understand it, this strength and conditioning guy that I had never heard of before the weekend, and that puts us on even footing. He's never heard of me either. But as I understand it, he has never used a racial slur, epithet, belittling statement one, racially motivated. The words that we know he would be fired over. Is that correct? If I understood that correctly?
Yeah, I mean, I think that's right. But the fact is, I mean, there's dozens of former players now who are coming out
right
against him, and
that
so
he belittled them. Uh-huh.
Yeah. So I'm kind of tend to lean more towards the side of what those guys are saying, because look, the fact is, these players, it's a lot to speak out against somebody in that position of power. If you're a former player who's trying to get a professional contract, it does not behoove you to speak out against your former staff, because that's something that general managers will look at. If you're a former player who's trying to break into the coaching profession, it doesn't behoove you to speak out, because you'll sort of get blacklisted there too. So I think it's kind of just.
All right, if we're going to use this as a standard, though, if we're going to use this as a standard, and some of the language was pretty rough. how much trouble should John Calipari be in for the noted Earl Barron incident in front of everyone? That everyone knows what I'm talking about, too.
I'll defer to you guys on that one because I don't have the first-hand knowledge of that incident.
I personally don't think that was an appropriate thing to say to anybody, but it was not racially motivated, and John would have said that to anybody.
Nor were the Iowa charges, Dave.
That he would
the
be
Iowa
perceived.
charges were. The Iowa charges aren't racially motivated. That's my point. If the standard is you got called a pejorative, you got called a belittling name, but it's not racial, then how many people are going to be sacrificed? How many people are going to get in trouble in the coaching world? And John Calipari didn't do it at practice. He didn't do it at one-on-one session. He did it at the pyramid in front of everybody, and it was bad that night.
As I recall, and, I may be mixing this story up because I've read both this one and in The Athletic I read the story about the Utah defensive coordinator who, to a man,
he crossed the line.
Everyone will say is not a racist, that helps everybody out. But I think the point of both of those were that the African Americans, the black players, felt they were treated differently by him than the white players were. And that was part of the uncomfortability, even though in the case of the Utah, I know they never felt that he was a racist, and he was the one that had a racially bad tweet that obviously had been taken away. I also thought in the case of the Iowa strength coach that there was that sentiment that African-American players felt uncomfortable at times with the way that they were treated compared to the white players. Is that wrong?
As I understand it, you've got it. And, I mean, look, I think that you make an interesting point, Stats. I mean, if this is the standard now, then, how many people are going to be sacrificed, what have you. What I think that ultimately is going to happen, though, is that the worst offenders will get fired, the mid-level offenders will be reprimanded and sent to training, and the coaches who are absolutely at the top of their profession and extremely successful, like John Calipari, will ultimately rise above it all because winning in some aspects cures everything. And so, I mean, that's kind of where we're headed. And I think, and ultimately, hopefully all these coaches kind of learn, man, look, you're going to have your feet held to the fire now. Some of these things that the way you grew up, the way you learned, the way you were coached, is not acceptable in all circumstances anymore. And
that's right.
Ultimately, recruiting is going to dictate a lot of it because, I mean, look, I don't want to be cynical, but, like, why do you think so many of these SEC coaches are out there marching like the way they are right now? I think in some respects they probably really believe and empathize and are starting to sort of see, what the black community has been saying for a long time now because of the events that have happened. But ultimately, if you don't believe also that recruiting plays a big part in why they're taking public stances, then you're kind of naive. And so ultimately, it is a cultural movement that's going to require these coaches to get their heads out of the sand, if for no other reason than to, one, save their own jobs, and if not that, then so they'll still be able to recruit. And, if Kirk Ferentz survives this, and he probably deserves to after, being there for multiple decades and not really having a bad reputation for anything until now, then he's still going to have to scratch and claw to put this behind him, or else recruits aren't going to want to come and play for him anymore. And so in that way, this is sort of going to become, I think, the new normal for college coaches. And they're not going to be able to just, iron fist and authoritarian their way through crises like this. They're actually going to have to listen and be empathetic and genuinely probably have some change on the inside, or else, they're going to get canned, or they're just not going to be able to hang on the recruiting trail anymore.
Back to your question about Calipari and Doug Barron and Earl Barron. What John said was totally inappropriate at any time in any setting. But I can guarantee you this: John never knew there was a live mic, or I don't think he would have made that statement. He did have to often apologize for his potty mouth that he would tell the high rollers that sat behind the bench that he had to do better. But I don't know that he could get away with anything like that right now, Brett, to answer your question. I think that was totally inappropriate, and in this day and age, I'm not sure he would do that. And I don't think when he did that, he had any inkling that there was a live microphone that could pick up what he said.
And you got to act now as if there's a live microphone at all times, because what you say, as we're seeing now, can be remembered by folks for a long time, and you can't just outrun it. So I don't know. I mean, Calipari's going to be fine. I mean, nobody's coming after John Calipari, but I guess. This is going to be a moment, I think, where coaches are going to have to really look in the mirror a little bit and sort of self-evaluate, whether mics are on or not, who am I and how am I supposed to treat my players?
And we should point out, this was a very derogatory statement. It was not racially inclined at all. This was just bad language.
And the Iowa allegations are not racially inclined. It's been bad language. It's been dehumanizing, belittling language.
Well, but as I understand it, the Iowa thing also, there's things like, one of the things I read was that, they've had a sort of a player of the year type award that goes to somebody who embodies, the culture of the program and what the program's supposed to be about. And some of the black players have noticed that for a number of years now, it's only been white players who have won that award. And, maybe, it happens a couple of years in a row. You don't think anything of it. But if something like that continues to happen, then you start to sort of realize, and you start to put two and two together. And it's all these little things that maybe they're not overt. And in some cases, maybe they're not even intentional. But they are, I guess what we would say, or you would say, are systemic, or sort of just ingrained in the culture of the program. And, this is sort of that moment in time where we're going beyond now, just what's said and what's in the open, and sort of starting to peel back some of these layers into some of those things that are a part of sort of tradition and the way things are, and trying to confront those things. And so, for that, kudos to those Iowa players.
He is David Cobb. You read him on CBSSports.com. He'll be watching on his new. Did you get the golf deal?
I'm thinking about it.
Oh, you're thinking about it.
I'll share the login with you guys.
Get off that cash.
I'll share the login with you guys.
Hey, you know what? If you get it, you're able to give that to I think 4 or 5 other people, right?
Yeah, I'll hook you guys up.
All you got to do is give us the passcode. Come on, baby. We're counting on you. Thank you, David.
All right.
We
Text me on
appreciate it.
Thursday.
Okay. That is David
Thank you,
Cobb
David.
from CBSSports.com. Our title sponsor this hour of the program's Homer Skelton Hyundai and Olive Branch, Genesis of Olive Branch as well. Same building, same people, same staff. In fact, that staff has been together ever since they have been with us for, 6-7 years, however long it's been. We appreciate them and what they do. They're the standard, in my opinion, for the way car business should be done. It starts with the product, the technology of both Hyundais and Genesis. Well, they're just terrific. The performance, the safety technology is amazing. So is the durability, where you get a 10-year, 100,000-mile limited powertrain warranty with every new car. And here's the motivation to get a new car right now. 0% financing for 84 months and 120 days on some select models to make your first payment. They understand we're in the middle of a pandemic. You might not have the money now, but you will in 4 months. And on select models, you can wait 120 days, some models 90 days. They're working with you. All you got to do is get on Lamar into Mississippi, exit number 1. It's Highway 78 by then, Craft Road. Turn left, go see Chris True and all the gang, and you'll love it at Homer Skelton Hyundai and Genesis of Olive Branch. Back in just a minute, and we'll be joined by the voice of the Memphis Redbirds. Steve Selby is next.
It's R&R on Sports.
The word is out about R&R on Sports, where you've heard interviews from
Ken Griffith Jr., Dr. J, Hank Aaron, and many, many more.
R&R on Sports, Saturday mornings, 10 a.m., Sports 56, 87.7, and 96.1.
Don't miss us.
Family Leisure is here to make staying at home more enjoyable for you and your family this summer. Complete pool packages starting at $15.99. 24-foot pools only $19.99. 4-person spas starting at $19.99. Swim spas starting at under $10,000. We are offering contactless purchasing, deliveries, and curbside pickup. Give us a call to schedule an appointment or to place an order. Stay safe with Family Leisure.
This Father's Day, give Dad the gift of style with an Untuckit shirt. Untuckit has reimagined the traditional dress shirt to fit a more casual lifestyle. With over 50 sizes, they can fit any body out there. Shop their button-downs, polos, Henleys, and more. Visit Untuckit.com and help Dad look sharp even at his most casual. Or visit one of their 50 stores that are now reopened for business. Use code SUMMER for 20% off your next order with free shipping and returns. Untuckit.com, the place to go this Father's Day. Code SUMMER.
For the ones we trust to always be there. For the ones caring for others. For the ones who keep things going, no matter where they are. In extraordinary times, extraordinary people step up. Like the ones standing guard and standing on the front lines. And the ones who are staying apart while still working together. With your efforts, we will get through this. We're grateful for all you do. Visit Grainger.com for resources that can help as you create your recovery plan. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Now, more of Sports Time on Sports 56 with Wolo and Stats. This hour of Sports Time is brought to you by Homer Skelton Hyundai. Here once again are Dave Woloshin and Brad Norsworthy.
Welcome back in. Halfway through this Monday edition of Wolo and Stats with you. Steve Selby, the voice of the Memphis Redbirds, is going to join us on a day where the news was not so good with baseball. We know there's not going to be a minor league season per se, and now we're starting to wonder, after there is no headway at all being made between the owners and the players, that there's going to be any kind of baseball at all. And the voice of the Redbirds joins us now. Sure doesn't look good, Steve. Do you see it that same way that I do?
Boy, who made you the morale officer today, huh? Holy
Boy,
cow.
no kidding. But, Steve, the news is grim.
It is, isn't it?
Yep.
And, you knew the Major League Baseball thing would be a little ugly for a while, just because that's what they do. But with all the TV money involved in trying to get something back out of the year, you figured they'd come up with something, and right now, they're trying their best not to get it done. And here's the thing. For me, there are so many moving parts to this with the virus and all these kinds of things that they were going to be fortunate if they pulled off playing it all anyway this year. But now they've pushed their animosities to the forefront and what appears to be greed to some of the fans. And when it really could be the health that ends up blowing up the season anyway. So I just, you kind of scratch your head and say, what are they all thinking?
Yeah, that's
and
exactly
every week for about the last 5 weeks, we've entered into this is the biggest week of negotiations of the year for Major League Baseball. You just referenced it, Steve. We're running out of weeks for it to be the biggest week for negotiations.
Well, I got to tell you, the most positive, optimistic lover of baseball I've ever met, Tim Kirkjian, has come out and finally admitted, I don't know that there's going to be a baseball season. If he has that sense, that ain't a good sign.
Well, here's what I'd like to know. When the pandemic first hit, March 11th, Rudy Gobert shuts down everything. Baseball then certainly seemed, they're in the middle of spring training, like, hey, we're just a few weeks from starting the season. We want to play baseball. We love the game. And, we're going to make this thing work. Or at least that was what they said out front. I don't know what they were thinking behind closed doors. But it sold me. I believed them. I really thought we love the game. They had come to some sort of an agreement prior. That they even agreed that they would go on a prorated basis. And then everything kind of changed. What happened?
Well, I can only guess, but, they did get that early deal, and I think what they did is maybe a little panic set in. We better get something done now before everything happens, and they got it and seemed pleased. And then when they realized this was going on longer and longer and longer, and there were going to be fewer and fewer gates, and they were losing TV revenue like crazy, that, oh my gosh, we better do something to try and get it back, which was obviously not a good move. And as baseball has done throughout history, you know as well as I, is they play it out in the public eye, and that's not the best way to handle negotiations, not when it comes to baseball.
Every time. Every strand of dirty laundry, baseball airs it out for all to see, and the leadership seems so ineffective up top. We really don't have, Steve Selby, the traditional boogeyman from the player side that we've normally had. We don't have Donald Fair to really be mad at. We don't have the National Labor Relations Board. We don't have Marvin Miller. I really don't think this is on the players.
Oh, I think I don't know how much is on the players. I think, Scherzer coming out and Snell coming out and Harper coming out doesn't help the cause, because they're, stand to make money anyway. But I just neither side has learned from those who preceded them in their jobs. Not a one of them. I mean, they didn't listen in '94. Anytime something comes up, and guess what? They don't get it done this year. How good are your chances that they'll get it done when they come back to the table next year? I mean, they're going to be, you talk about hating each other.
Mm-hmm.
How's that for an opening act?
Well, this is the most of any league, the most distrust between the players and the owners. And I get their point. I get the owners saying, look, when we first started talking about this and prorated, we didn't realize the whole year long there would not be any crowds. And unfortunately, crowds are somewhere in I believe this, 38 to 42% of what their revenue streams are. And so you prorate, but you also give us something back. I'm not saying to the extent that their offer is out there, but the players have to give something back, because the owners are going to lose that revenue stream. It appears pretty evident. Now, they might in some places, like Texas, where you can get 25% of your audience at this moment because the governor says you can, but that's certainly not going to be across the table. And in California, you can't have anybody for a while. So I think the players have to – I'm not saying cave right now and take that 76-game deal at basically what comes out to 33% of what their income would have been. But I think they have to say, okay, we're not going to get just the prorated money that we thought we were going to get, because the owners are losing 40% of their revenue.
Yeah, I agree wholeheartedly. You just have to, try and regardless of what they fight for and win or lose, the optics are very important in this right now. And you know how hard it was back in 94, 95 to get things cranked back up. It took, Sosa and McGuire years later to get it going. They don't get it done this year. You really are going to lose some people. The fans eventually came back, but right now they don't pull this off, man. We're in really big doo-doo.
Yeah, we are. And Steve, we both know you very well, and I know you are a very together person. You have your priorities, right? But you do love baseball. You do love calling the games. I love listening to you. We love listening to you. Mm-hmm. When has been the game so far that it's really stung you that I'm not at AutoZone Park, I'm not calling the action? Because I can tell you the one I thought opening night would be big, but the one that really, when it really hit me, Memorial Day afternoon, that Monday, not hearing Steve Selby calling a Redbirds game. When was the last time you didn't work on a Memorial Day?
Well, Memorial Day and 4th of July would be 1985, and that's before I got into professional baseball. So we're looking at 35 years since that took place. But for me, it's not like a moment that's knocked me for a loop, that got me depressed or whatever. I'm just missing the interaction with coaches and managers and scouts, and if Mosailock's in town talking to the GM. I mean, where you're talking the game. I mean, we love calling the games. Don't get me wrong, but when you're talking the game and you're learning the game, because there's so much to learn in this business, and I miss all of those people. I don't miss 3:00 wake up calls. I'll be honest with you on that. But it's been, just some people would say those are little things or side things, but after 35 years, that's what really gets you going, because that stuff's new, and it's these are people also. When you talk scouts and coaches and managers, people I've known, 20, 30, 40 years. And that's where it really hurts for me. On the other hand, I'm home with my wife a lot. I like it. I'm not sure she does, but,
Are you even allowed into AutoZone Park at this point?
No, I have not been in AutoZone Park since first week of March, maybe. Within the first week or 10 days of March, I have not been allowed in the building.
And it seems like no end in sight for minor league baseball. It will be damaged. How do you think it looks coming out of this and heading into opening day, April of 2021?
Well, I don't think we even know what it's going to look like, because, if they get rid of these 42 teams, and they're going to juggle some teams in the Pacific Coast League, which will alter our schedule, I'm not sure what it all looks like. Minor league baseball is going to be run very different. Looks like it could be run, by the big leaguers, as opposed to, the minor league guys having control of everything. And I'm not sure what it looks like. The schedules that have been approved for next year, they'll change. So I don't know. I think it's going to be very different. And in terms of getting the fans back, I think it'll be okay. I don't think we'll have the same issue as Major League Baseball will have if they don't get a deal done.
Do you think we would go, and correct me because my memory fades on occasion here? Didn't we used to have 3 AAA leagues, the Pacific Coast League, the American Association, and the Eastern, what was the Eastern League called? International League.
Well, no. Well, we had it was the 3. The American Association and the International League and the Pacific Coast League. Yeah. I forgot too.
Yeah. So the American Association was more Midwest teams. The International League was the Eastern. Obviously, Pacific was out West. It would seem to me, especially if Major League Baseball goes this route, where the Central Division is going to merge and the Western divisions are going to merge and the Eastern divisions are going to merge. Would you see that happening, where you're just going to compete in the Midwest?
Well, you could. It depends on what they want to do. I mean, what Major League Baseball, one of the things they're talking about is trying to cut down on travel and all that, which is a great idea. And those of us who've been in the PCO all these years would love for that to change. When I was in work for the Nashville Sounds, that was the last 2 years of the American Association, and it was easy travel. I mean, you had buses to Indy, just up the road in Louisville, and you would throw Memphis wasn't in it at that time, but Memphis would obviously be a part of it. New Orleans was a short direct flight. Omaha and Des Moines were together, and you had Oklahoma City, so it was really easy travel. So we'll see what they want to do. I mean, they have it. They've put out we're going to cut these teams. We're going to work on cutting down travel. We want the facilities upgraded. But they haven't talked about the details of how you're going to execute all these changes. And right now, I think their hands are a little full right now with the big league clubs. So there's a lot of work to be done. And I'm wondering how early this information will get to all the minor league front offices so they can make the plans. Normally, you got teams, very early on by early fall, they're booking flights and they're booking hotels and all that kind of stuff. And what happens if this information doesn't come down the pike till January? It's hard to get those hotel rooms. It's hard to get those deals. Hard to get those flights.
It's sad for all of us, but how would you like to be the good folks of Wichita, spend the money on that ballpark, get New Orleans to relocate there, that team play there, and they hadn't thrown a pitch?
It's funny, just 10 minutes before I got on the phone with you guys, I was talking with Tim Grubbs, the radio announcer for Wichita. And I will also say this, Wichita is one of the few minor league staffs that still has all their employees working. And, they're down to giving their sponsors tours of the ballpark is all they've got to do. And, they're trying to keep everybody happy, but you sell all these fence signs, and you sell all these promotions and all these tickets and all this stuff, yet you're not going to play a game. It's hard on them. They're holding true.
They need to see what was the I think it's a single A stadium somewhere, and they're renting out as an Airbnb the ballpark.
Double A down in Pensacola.
Double A?
Yeah, Double A. Yeah.
How smart is that?
Well, they're doing it, and I know Round Rock has just announced their. I guess you have to limit to 50 people or something. I'm not sure, but they're renting out the field itself for people to take batting practice. Rent it out like for a group to come out and do this and do that, and so you got to try and find a little something you can do, but you still start bringing in employees and turning on lights and those kind of things. So it's a fine line on how much they can actually make. I think it's more of just keeping traffic in and out of the ballpark so people don't totally forget about you during the summer.
Well, the other
we haven't.
Go ahead.
We haven't forgotten about you, Steve. I missed the heck out of you.
Well, it's I haven't gotten the yips, but I tell you what, you get used to seeing certain people a certain time, don't we? And I talk about visiting with all the scouts and stuff like that. We always talk sports before the game, and every time I get to pound Wolo about the Cubs, depending on how they're doing. I don't get to do that.
I know. I miss you giving me grief. Hey, I got one last thing, and I don't know if you have the answer to this because you're not around the ballpark, but the other tenant, 901 FC, is back to small workouts, and that league, the USL, has voted to come back. Do we have any info on that? I'm not sure they'll allow fans in the stands, but I don't see how it would be anything but a revenue loser if you didn't have fans.
That'd be my guess, but I don't know. I haven't talked to anybody, and I'm not on the soccer side of things anyway. But yeah, I mean, with that wild crew that sits behind the third base dugout, right. I don't think social distancing is going to work for them. Do you?
No, not at all.
But this is only, you mentioned Wichita in their first year; they're not playing. I mean, we're right behind them. I mean, this is just year 2, and last year was such a success.
Yep.
And, they brought in a more talented team this year, and Tim Howard's playing. So, I mean, this set up not only to be successful at the turnstile, but successful on the pitch, as they say. And if they get a chance to play, if there's no fans, it's going to be an awfully tough thing to do.
He is Steve Selby. We miss listening to him every night, that is for sure. And hopefully baseball gets their act together for the major leagues this year and that you're back in business next year. Thank you, my friend. We'll stay in touch.
Thanks, fellas. Appreciate you.
That is Steve Selby, longtime voice of the Redbirds, brought to you by the commissary, the Germantown commissary, the Collierville commissary, all the menus. Both places. They're all open now, and not just for takeout. They are open inside. They're at 50% capacity, although they've done it brilliantly with the way they social distance, and you'll be greeted with a mask, and you'll be greeted with gloves. They take it very, very seriously, and they want to see you. If you're in the mood for ribs or that wonderful chicken, if you're in the mood for pulled shoulder, if you're in the mood for coleslaw or deviled eggs, they're famous for that, of course. We know about the icebox lemon pie or my banana pudding. They got it all. Sweet tea, unsweet, takeout, or go into the restaurant. Both open for business right now. You can take out curbside at Germantown. You can drive through in Collierville. And you'll love Collierville. You want space? They got so much space and a patio at the newer one, in Collierville, right there at Poplar and Houston Levee Road. They are doing business at the commissary. We are back in just a minute.
Search Sports 56 on Facebook and give us a like. And follow us on Twitter at Sports 56 WHBQ.
DeSoto Auto Sales specializes in late model cars with low mileage. They have the highest standards in the car industry. All of their cars are test driven, checked out from head to toe. Unlimited inventory, every make and model. And if it's not on the lot, they'll find it for you. Walk in the door of DeSoto Auto Sales, 5704 Goodman Road. Within 45 minutes, you can test your car, get credit approval, and finish paperwork within an hour. No shortcuts at DeSoto Auto Sales. Kind, courteous employees, a down-home environment. DeSoto Auto Sales cares about about your time. Lowest prices in a 350-mile radius. We're living in a world today where time does matter. Visit them online. Check out their referrals. DeSotoAutoSales.com. Very proud to serve DeSoto County and other surrounding areas. DeSoto Auto Sales, 5704 Goodman Road. Call 662-890-7184. 662-890-7184. Come on down to DeSoto Auto Sales.
For 95 years, Saya LTL Freight has hit the road to deliver the goods that keep businesses and communities moving. Now, in this uncertain time, we won't stop going that extra mile, because at the end of the day, we are all in this together for the long haul. Saya LTL Freight, driving stability, safety, support, and strength. Visit Saya.com. That's SAIA.com.
Hi, folks. Bob Burkhammer for Sunrise Chevy. Good news for new and used car and truck buyers. The Sunrise Chevy Ranch has a great selection of new and used cars and trucks, rebates up to $6,500, and interest rates low as 0%. At SunriseMemphis.com, you can select your vehicle, get your trade appraised, arrange financing and delivery. We'll deliver right to your doorstep, disinfected and ready to go. No matter what your past credit, Sunrise wants to get you financed. Immediate financing with next to nothing down. Need service or body work? Bring it to Sunrise or schedule an appointment online. Find new roads to Sunrise Chevy, 385 in Houston Levy, Collierville.
Brian Elder's Roofing Solutions.
Chris Price here for Brian Elder Roofing. The storms we've had over the past several months have been devastating to our communities. The rainy season is ahead. You may have not even noticed the dripping in your attic, water stains throughout your home, or even worse, mold and mildew. Please call Brian Elder Roofing and we will send out our project managers to assess any damage. We will not try to sell you a roof if all you need is a repair. We will measure your roof from outer space. 0% for 60 months, even no payments till 2022 are available with approved credit. If you've noticed missing shingles, water stains, leaks in your roof, call us before you call your insurance company at 867-0303. That's 867-0303, and we will provide a free, thorough inspection of your roof's condition.
Call 867-0303. Brian Elder's Roofing Solutions.
Now, more of Sports Time on Sports 56 with Wolo and Stats. This hour of Sports Time is brought to you by Homer Skelton Hyundai. Here once again are Dave Woloshin and Brad Norsworthy.
Welcome back in as we wrap up hour number 2. Sad news yesterday, and this is why, Brett, I always say try to enjoy every day. Live life to the fullest. Don't hold back your feelings or your desire to do as much as you can in the time that you've gotten, because you never know. I mean, and to me, Kurt Thomas is an unbelievable example of that. Kurt Thomas was the gymnast. He became the first American ever man to win a world championship event. And he did that back in 1978. He owned a gym outside of Dallas in Frisco with his wife, who was also a gymnast. 64. Last picture I saw of him, he looked like he was in perfect health. And he
24.
Passed away from a stroke. And I don't know if this is COVID at all, because I have heard there seems to be more strokes, and I think there are people trying to find a parallel between COVID and strokes. And obviously I'm not a doctor, but this guy seemed to be in great health. And, he was a heck of a guy. I just reach out to my thoughts, grab life while you can, because you just never know.
Sure, better. You better enjoy it. But that was a stunner from the weekend, because I don't know why, because I knew he was older than me when he was competing in those years, but I just really didn't ever stereotype him as 64 even.
No, you always think of them as they were, right, in their prime?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, how do you think of Mark Spitz right now?
I think of Mark Spitz in 1976
in the swimming pool.
In the pool with that
Michael
mustache.
Phelps.
Michael Phelps the same way. Yeah, absolutely.
Very same way. They kind of – we want them to stay like that, and we sure don't want to lose them, younger, and I think 64 is younger. Dave, we were talking about the U.S. Amateur earlier, and is there a direct link to it guaranteeing, PGA Tour major success? That's what we said, winning a major.
Right.
I've quickly have done this since 1970. And obviously during the show I didn't have time to go back and do it from day one, but since 1970, that's 50 years, and that's a pretty good snapshot of current times. It has not been, and I didn't think it was. There are some super anonymous names that's won the U.S. Amateur, and if you think not guaranteeing success for the winner, if you're the runner-up, it's even less. Here since 1970, there have been 39 winners of the U.S. Amateur that did not go on and win a major as a professional golfer.
So 11 did? Oh, 8 did. Okay.
No, 8 did, because Tiger Woods won it 3 times,
right.
And Jay Siegel, that never turned pro, he won it 2 times.
Didn't Jack Nicklaus won it 2 times too, right? Did he?
Not since 1970, though.
Okay.
Usually Jack Nicklaus won it in the 50s.
Right.
That's what I said.
Right.
So eight people have done it. For the runners-up, since 1970, only 2 went on to win a major, and they were teammates at Texas with the famous coach, Tom Kite and Ben Crenshaw.
Oh, wow. Tom Kite and Crenshaw, the only 2 runner-ups in that 50-year period.
But, I mean, could you pick out John Falt? Not John Vaught.
No.
John Falt. Bill Sander.
No.
Eric Meeks.
Gosh, that sounds familiar.
Ricky Barnes.
Yes, definitely Ricky Barnes. Remember he had that crazy painter's hat. I know Ricky Barnes.
Kelly Craft.
I remember Kelly Craft.
Could you pick him out of a lineup?
No, I could Ricky Barnes, though.
Richie Ramsey.
No. Who else?
The old golf coach, Buddy Alexander at LSU. He stayed a pro, or stayed amateur.
Well, if they stayed amateur, they weren't going to win a major. We know that.
That's right. Well, you could, but it's hard.
That's 2 in the books. We got some great stuff coming your way. Just a minute. Don't go anywhere. This is Sports Time on Sports 56 with Wolo and Stats.
Great news, sports fans. The Butcher Shop Steakhouse is now open for dine-in service. Make a reservation and enjoy a mouth-watering steak dinner. Or, if you prefer, take it curbside. In addition to their fantastic steaks, the Butcher Shop Steakhouse has a variety of entrees, including Canadian lobster tail, crab-stuffed shrimp, pan-seared red snapper, and fresh ground steak burger with portobello mushroom sauce. Planning to cook out? The Butcher Shop Steakhouse offers a great selection of hand-cut fresh steaks, lamb chops, Atlantic salmon, and more. Father's Day is coming soon, so make your reservation for dine-in or pre-order for curbside pickup. The Butcher Shop Steakhouse, dine-in, curbside, and delivery. Call us at 757-4244 and visit our website, thebutchershop.com, for menus and more. The Butcher Shop Steakhouse, Walnut Grove and Germantown Parkway.
Hi, I'm Troy Fiveash, owner of Fiveash Roofing. Can anyone explain to me why anyone would care how I measure your roof? We have all heard about measuring your roof from outer space. Well, to be honest, there are aerial pictures that are taken every 4 years that can be used to measure a building, but it's not from outer space. Besides, no one, and I mean no one, can tell you what's wrong with your roof or even if you need one by using pictures that might be 4 years old. If you would rather do business with a family-owned and operated business with a lifelong tie to Memphis that refuses to mislead or use gimmicks, please give me a call. Best products, best warranties, and the best customer service we know how to provide. Fiveash Roofing, proud partner of the Memphis Tigers and the official roofer of the Memphis Tigers home team. Fiveash Roofing, fair, honest, and ethical. 367-0050 or memphisroofer.com. 367-0050 or memphisroofer.com.
Fiveash Roofing, it's what we do. We're here for you.
Listen Sundays at 11 a.m. to join Idlewild Presbyterian Church for worship. Idlewild is a PCUSA church located in Midtown Memphis.
Hi, this This is Rob Brown. Join Pete Cordelli and me for Sidelines Saturday mornings, 8 to 10 a.m. on Sports 56, 87.7, and 96.1 FM. We'll cover the Memphis Tigers, the SEC, recruiting. Hey, if they keep score, we're covering it. Check us out on the website at sports56whbq.com and sidelines.live. Sidelines is brought to you by Duncan Williams Asset Management. Saturday mornings, 8 to 10 a.m. Get up and give us a call.
We are Sports 56 WHBQ Memphis, WIVG-FM Tunica Memphis, and WPG-FLP Memphis, Flynn Broadcasting Stations. Welcome back to Sportstime on Sports 56 with Wolo and Stats. This hour of Sportstime is brought to you by DeSoto Auto Sales. Here once again are Dave Woloshin and Brett Norsworthy.
Third and final hour on this Monday afternoon. It's brought to you every day by DeSoto Auto Sales. All the cars test-driven, checked out, bumper to bumper at DeSoto Auto Sales. Unlimited inventory, every make, every model. They've got it. And if they don't have it, they'll go out and find it quickly for you, the very valued customer. No shortcuts taken at DeSoto Auto Sales. You walk in, treated like family by kind, courteous employees, laid-back atmosphere, no high-pressure sales, down-home environment. But they do care about your time very much at DeSoto Auto Sales, and they want you to enjoy the ultimate car experience. They know we're living in a world today that time really matters, and it sure does. And that's why within 45 minutes you can find the car you want, test drive it, credit approved, paperwork completed, and you're gone in time to do it over your lunch hour or immediately after work. It's that simple at DeSoto Auto Sales. Very proud to serve DeSoto County at 5704 Goodman Road. Visit them online. Check out all the happy referrals at DeSotoAutosales.com, 662-890-7184. Come on down to DeSoto County for that town and country experience at DeSoto Auto Sales.
We were talking about U.S. Amateur winners, and we had a couple of texters in the First Bank text line. We thank them, and we should point out David Gossett was, of course, not the only Memphian ever to win a U.S. Amateur. The other was Hillman Robbins, who did that in 1957, and he did not have much luck as a pro. Came back, and he was the golf pro at Galloway Golf Course.
Yeah, and the year after he won it in 57, Arkansas native Charlie Coe won it, and he almost won Augusta National as an amateur, but he didn't. And he was a great amateur and remained an amateur over his entire career. I don't think he ever turned pro. Memphis Country Club hosted the U.S. Amateur in 1948.
Wow. I do remember that. Just to think you had a U.S. Amateur. And that is a great golf course. That layout is just in the old sense. And I'm trying to remember the name. I love this architect. He's my favorite architect, and I can't think of his name right now. And he has golf courses. He started building them really in about 1910. He had a prolific career till about 1940, and he was involved. It's amazing how many projects that he did, mainly in the South. And I'll text me somebody who knows the architect of Memphis Country Club, but classic golf courses.
A lot of U.S. amateur winners did not go on to big success. We documented the 1970 on, and it's no promise of it. It's not. And I still hadn't figured out how Nathaniel Crosby won it in 1983, but he did at Olympic Club. And you can't fix golf. Not even his dad could do that.
Yeah, no, you can't. That is for absolute sure. Donald Ross. That's who I was looking at. Donald Ross Golf Course, and I thank Texter for that. And he did many throughout the South. Prolific.
Now we set the bar high too, Dave. We said major. I mean,
right.
Most all of it. I think most people would love what Victor Hovland's got in front of him. He may win a major. Most would like the last 3 or 4 years for Bryson DeChambeau. We would take that as career. We would take what John Cook had as a career.
Oh, absolutely.
In a second, Scott Verplank.
Yeah,
we would take in a second. So we set the bar a little high on winning a major. So is there direct linkage to that?
And wasn't Kuchar, didn't he finish as a runner-up?
Kuchar won the U.S.
Oh, he won the U.S. Amateur. That's right.
Mm-hmm.
That's smart. I couldn't remember if he'd won it or was a runner-up.
And that's how he got into the 98 Masters, and his dad was his caddy and managed to make everybody at the tournament mad at him. It is probably the best part of the book that John Feinstein, the great author, wrote about the majors, and he covered the 1998 majors. And, I mean, Justin Leonard was ready to take a swing at Matt Kuchar's dad.
What did Matt Kuchar's dad do that made him so mad?
He celebrated every birdie like it was Y2K in Times Square.
Just a
they asked him after Thursday, could you turn it down a little bit, and he turned it up and just kept doing it all weekend, and everybody had enough of him. And Matt Kuchar played well.
Matt Kuchar did.
But dads can be dads sometimes, whether it's the Little League ballpark or Augusta National.
He's had a heck of a career. There's no question.
He has.
That.
He made most of us forget about his dad. The NBA plan pretty set in stone for postseason dates. Sham Charania tweeting that the NBA postseason dates are pretty set. August 16th, 17th will be the play-in tournament. Invoke Dayton there. Maybe they should move it and have it in Dayton over that.
There you go.
August 18th, first round. September 1st, second round. September 15th begins the conference finals. And September 30th will be game one of the NBA finals.
Well, there actually could – I mean, they may have 2 extra dates there because there's no guarantee there's play-ins.
That's right.
If the 8th seed maintains a 4-game lead, there's not going to be a play-in.
And that I don't think anybody would really mind that.
No, I
because less exposure.
No. I wouldn't mind. But by the way, news today, not good news if you're a Spurs fan, but they got problems. They're going to let Pop coach at 71. That's one issue they're dealing with. But their chances of winning just went down the tubes a bit because LaMarcus Aldridge is going to miss the remainder of the year. He decided he was going to have surgery on his right shoulder. And that procedure was performed on April 24th. He's not coming back.
And what would that do to the Spurs' chances? They were slim to begin with.
Right.
Slim just left town.
I'm with you. That's good for the Grizzlies. And again, I still think, and we've got to see how the 8-game schedule is really going to be before we absolutely positively know how it all works out. But in my mind, I think the Grizzlies ended up okay because there's 2 spots you can play for now, and that schedule can't be any harder than it would have been.
I want to see it play out. I've made my feelings known about how I think the Grizzlies have been largely treated by the NBA writ large.
Yeah. Well, let's see what the schedule is, and then let the games begin. And the worst part is we still got to wait a while for that to occur. I thought it was interesting. There was go ahead.
No, I'm sorry. You please.
I was going to shift gears a little bit, and the story came out about
I was too.
the amount of money that Penny Hardaway is getting from Nike still.
Yeah.
And
that's a big number, and he's been more than fair with his beloved university.
Oh yeah.
But Laird Veach was clear in his comments that contracts are in ongoing negotiations, and he's going to be bumped up, and he should.
Should, absolutely. But here's what got me. So he got $3 million last year. It's not really necessarily the money figure because Penny's got plenty of money. Not that you don't want to stop making money, but that
and
is.
If you're working, you want more.
That is not the thing that impressed me the most. What impressed me the most is that out of total shoe sales in the history of Nike now, Penny Hardaway's shoe remains at number 4. The most shoes ever sold, the most popular shoe ever is Michael Jordan. Number 2, I believe now, is LeBron James. Number 3 is Kobe Bryant. Number 4, Penny Hardaway. Think about that.
Well, it's that lasting power of that brand, and he is a winning brand, and it's why it's why I'm not as much on this next assistant having to be this super Nova recruiter. I think Penny Hardaway still has that just 2 tons of cachet. I would like to see more grunt player development guy. And if you could get the magic blend, of course that's what you would want. Or if you could get a guy that just wave a wand and bring in all kind of players that you would take. But I would like more player development, because Penny Hardaway, if he's not selling to the youngster, his parents still sure know.
I sort of go, and I get your point, but I sort of go the other way. Not that Penny can't get it done by himself, and let's face it, Mike was not around for those 2 transfers that he got, and those were the 2 best players that were available at the moment, and I give Penny a lot of credit for that, and I hope that they become eligible and that they can play this year. But I think you need a couple of recruiters. Penny's the closer. You still have to have a guy that's got charisma that gets out there and gets people excited. And, I think you've got developers in Tony Madlock and in Cody Toppert. And so
for sure, in Cody Toppert and Tony, yeah.
I think both of them are. I think.
Yeah, I do too.
So
for sure.
I think he's set that way. Not that he wouldn't. You do want some combination. But
you do, ideally, for sure.
You have to get another guy that'll be out there being the big recruiter, and I'm not sure that is Tony. Not that he does a bad job, or Cody Toppert's real expertise, and that's not to say they couldn't do it if they had to, but I don't think that's the way it's been set up. So I think he's going to look for a guy that is also a big seller of the program, and I think it'll be interesting to see if he goes NBA,
a more national recruiter.
Yeah, I think that, or
but because the city of Memphis will take care of itself.
He'll take
with
care
Coach
of that.
Hardaway and Tony.
Sure, absolutely. So that's sort of what I'm thinking about. And people, look, I agree with anybody who has ever said to me, "Man, Mike Miller is a loss," and that is true because Mike was really good. Mike was the guy that was so instrumental in helping to get Precious and Lester and Boogie here. James Wiseman helped too, and he helped to get James Wiseman. But that was probably, let's be honest, that was more Penny. But Mike was a great recruiter, and I'll be honest.
He was Boogie.
And I said this on the air the other day. Maybe it was Friday. When Mike did the scout, we always had a terrific game plan. Mike really was good at X's and O's, and
that takes grinding. That takes work,
and he did, and he really did. So he's a loss.
And that's alone time, and that's not a lot of fun to dive in the X and O's, and you got to really want to do that. I'm pleased to hear for his future if he wants to coach,
right,
that he was that dedicated to it.
He was, and so he's a loss. But when we lost Sam Mitchell, I thought, oh gosh, that's tough. That is, here's a guy who was NBA Coach of the Year, for goodness sakes. That is a tough loss. And we found Cody Toppert, and I don't feel that the loss of Sam Mitchell,
upgrade.
I don't think it was a loss anymore. That's how I kind of felt. And so I like Mike Miller, and I am not going to demean how much he meant, because it is a loss. But how much of a loss will be determined by who Penny replaces him with, and that you don't know until you see who is the replacement before you get the sense of really.
Now, y'all help me out. Y'all bring it up on your screens. I took a wild ride today. I went to Joe Lenardi to look at his mock bracket for 2021.
Oh my goodness!
June 8th, no sports going on. Okay,
yeah.
So I did that. He only has 2 teams from the American. And I'm thinking he's counting UConn as one of them, because I can't find the other one with Houston. And UConn will not be in the American next year, will it?
No. Cincinnati, I can't. I don't think that they would be in there. You would think, in my mind, well, it depends on if these guys get eligible. But if it's me picking, I'm going Houston for sure, and I'm going Memphis number 2. UConn's not in the league anymore, and they weren't that good this year anyway. Cincinnati. The big kid that transferred, didn't he leave early? Mm-hmm. He's not there.
Well, he doesn't have Memphis or Cincinnati in it. He has, I think he's calling it 2 with one being Houston, and they are, and the other one being UConn, and they're not in the league. He has 7 from the SEC, including as a 10 seed Ole Miss.
Wow. He
doesn't have the Tigers last four byes, last 4 in, first 4 out, or next 4 out. No verbiage, according to Joe Brackett's, about the Tigers.
How he's got UConn in as a 10 seed? Who on UConn makes you think they're going to be any good next year? Unless I missed something with a great recruiting class.
I like them okay, but boy, to see them in person at FedEx Forum and how many shots right at the 10 they missed.
They've got
They missed more 5-footers that day than you would miss in a season.
He's got Tennessee as a 5 seed. Houston could end up playing Ole Miss in the bracket that he's got. Yeah, you're right. He's only got the one team from the American Athletic Conference, and that's just not the way it's
I think he's counting UConn. Come on, Joe Brackets.
He must be.
He's got to be. There's another one in there. I don't know.
None other that I see that are in there.
We could get that mad over June 8th bracketology.
Well, you know what? I mean, the league really could be down. If I honestly think if Memphis gets one of those two eligible, or if you get Cisse, it's a whole different ball game. But
I'm going to say the Tigers, with or without Cisse, will be on that field of 68 when it's revealed next year.
I
hope we have a tournament.
I think Memphis has a chance of certainly getting in, especially if those 2 transfers do get eligible to play.
One fun thing to keep an eye on all brackets next year, because Memphis will be a ticket-punching city again, hosting Sweet 16 and Elite 8. So we know the Tigers, if they're in the tournament, would be on opposite dates from that, because people stretched out and they don't want the focus on a local team on those days. So they would be opposite of potentially those dates for Memphis. And the top 4 seeds right now for Memphis in the South region, Baylor 1 and 2
Michigan
is
State 2.
Michigan State, 3 is Creighton, and 4 Kentucky. And we remember the great crowd they brought in 2017 here, and the classic game they had against North Carolina. And then John Calipari blamed the referees for it and sicked his fans on them.
Miami and Arkansas, the 8 and 9s in that bracket.
Potentially for Arkansas, if that held, that first round would be in Dallas and then come to Memphis, and Eric Musselman's building something.
That would be something, yeah, and I think Musselman is. I think that was a great hire. I really do. They got Yale in as a 13 to play Kentucky.
And
off the bat.
Hunter Yurachek, for Razorback fans that I don't know if they are or aren't, but if you are dubious about Sam Pittman and maybe second or third choice, whatever choice he was, well, remember, Chris Beard was kind of the number 1 choice for Arkansas that year, and Kelvin Sampson was probably 2. I don't know where exactly Eric Musselman fell, but he probably wasn't 1, but they've made that work. So if you're a Razorback football fan and you're thinking, okay, Sam Pittman might work out okay, you just never know.
I think it is going to be a tough year for the American. I really do. You talk about Houston. He's got him as what did we say, a 6 seed?
Mm-hmm.
But they've just lost Nate Hinton, who is a really solid player, a really good college player. I don't know. He's left for the draft. I don't think he's going to be much of an NBA guy, but he's a really solid collegiate player. They lost Fabian White, their big guy, to an ACL, so he's not going to be able to play this year. And then the other team that you really thought was building and going to be great, and we saw it fall apart last year, was Wichita State. And I don't know what's going to happen with Greg Marshall's program, but he's lost all of his team. So they're not going to be a factor.
Now, Dave, on the AAC SEC Challenge,
right,
it is official that Ole Miss will host Wichita State on that first weekend of the new calendar year, and that was the weekend last year that they played up there.
Right.
So is it 1+1? Is it a natural link that the Tigers will go to Georgia around that same time?
I would have to think that's the case. I would have to think. We had them here, you get them there, and then next year you'll have new partners, right? You play home and home. That makes the most sense to me. I don't know
that means over the weekends of December 5th, 12th, and 19th, then skip the Saturday after Christmas Day, December 26th. But January 2nd, that means it would be December 5th at Oxford, December 12th
in Nashville,
Nashville against Tennessee, December 19th, Atlanta against Auburn, nothing on the 26th, and January 2nd to Athens to play Georgia. 4 out of 5 brutal Saturdays.
Tough. We'll see. It'll be a lot of fun if we get to play. Now, this is going to be inside. I think we're going to play. I don't know.
I don't know, Dave.
All we can kind of do is sit here and dream, right? Isn't that the truth?
I didn't have dream in my head. I had Imagine by John Lennon. I couldn't if I tried.
You know, apparently Greg Brown must mean a great deal because Lenardi's got Texas as a 3 seed.
I got to see it. I got to see Shaka do it.
Come on. One guy is going to make that much of a difference?
You know, kind of the comeback now. Shaka's still the coach, isn't he?
He is.
It's time.
He may be the beneficiary of the fact that we all got shut down because if he had not gotten much further, that would have been a problem. Mick Cronin's team, UCLA, is the 7 seed playing UConn. I don't know where he gets this much mileage out of UConn.
I don't either.
Really do not.
Danny Hurley's still the coach there, isn't he?
He sure is. He is a pretty good coach.
And speaking of foul language, and not necessarily, and sure not, never been accused of it having a racial hue whatsoever about it with Danny Hurley. But that's ridiculous to sit courtside and listen to that maniac. And that's coming from somebody that cusses.
Well, he's lost his mind a couple of times, and I can't imagine that UConn, after the performance he put on here and went after one of our fans, that they didn't ask him to tone it down. I'm sure that they had to, and I think he needed to. It's one thing to stick up for your players. It's another to just lose your mind the way he does. The last year when last game we played, when Memphis played at UConn, to fire up the crowd, there's 2 minutes left in the game. He literally ran to center court. This is during a break on a timeout. So I don't think it got picked up on TV. I said it on the air. He literally ran to mid-court and dove on the UConn logo and slapped his hand. It was like crazy. And that's your head coach. And I do think he X's and O's. He's a great guy. I think he loses his mind. And somehow, he's going to, if he doesn't get a grip on it, he's going to go nuts and attack somebody in the stands.
And make no mistake about it, I'm not defending the Iowa strength and conditioning coach. All I'm defending is so far from all I've read, it has not been a racial component to it. It has been unartful, demeaning, abusive tone toward predominantly the black players. Well, that's wrong. If you treat everybody the same, that's the beauty. That should be the beauty of everything, but sure is the beauty of sport.
I believe that is the contention of their angst is that he doesn't treat everybody the same way.
Okay, I'm with you there. Here's what I would like to know, and we might continue this after the break, Dave. Here's what I'd like to know, and I have fallen a little victim to it, but not a lot. But I can't stand it. After said coach leaves or said controversy erupts, and then everybody claims, oh, yeah, I've known that forever. When there's not been the first story out of Iowa football beat writers, TV, print, radio, nothing. There's not been one story over this guy's however long career. I think it is long and up to the last 3 days, fairly distinguished. Then after the first story comes out, it was a little bit like Tiger on that Thanksgiving weekend. Nobody knew anything, and then everybody had a story. I said from the beginning at Ole Miss, I did not know one thing around Hugh Freeze that ended up in the public realm. I did not know any of it. I was stunned by it. I knew, even from his high school football coaching days in Memphis, that sometime the truth could be a little bit fast and loose with him. But there's a difference between truth being fast and loose and consorting with call girls.
True. It is your point is well taken, because in both the stories, and there's similarities in the Utah defensive coordinator and the Iowa strength and conditioning coach, both stories go back 10 years. So you're talking about this being a pattern of behavior that bothered people for a long time, and apparently no one felt comfortable enough about bringing it up until now.
Not a story, not a one.
That is
and Dave,
the truth.
I think one of the most egregious examples of it, and a lot of them are my friends, but there's never been an Arkansas football coach that after he leaves that you don't get a mountain of, boy, did you know about such and such? No, I never heard a word about it during it. Why are you telling me now? I mean, literally had people telling me, how Bobby Petrino was running a straight lace program, and some of his janky ways in the past had been put behind him, and then kind of everybody disliked him after the fact, and he had belittled and demeaned a lot of people. And Dave, I think you'll remember it. And I criticized him and defended the female journalist early in his Arkansas tenure, when he was building his power. Do you remember the young lady that showed up at a post-practice Q&A media session with him, and because she was a Florida grad, she had on a Florida ball cap. She had on a Florida baseball cap.
I remember this.
And he berated her, and they practically ran her out of town. She had every right to wear any kind of ball cap she wanted to his media availability.
I agree. Can I ask you something? Not that you have any right to just totally, literally berate somebody, but I can't think of a college football coach that I have covered that if you came with a conference rival wearing a shirt or a cap of theirs, that he wouldn't make a comment. I promise you, every coach.
It was more than a comment. It was more of a comment.
Yeah.
They turned on her, and it was powerful. And I said then, you're a bad guy if you do that. Well, it played out. During the Brett Bielema years, it was Coach B this, Coach B's great. And then after he leaves, everybody in town says he's the town drunk.
Right.
Well, tell me when it's going on. Don't tell me after he's gone.
I hear you. I'm with you. This portion of the show brought to you by the Spirit Shop. That's that little log cabin right there at Poplar and St. Nick, right down from Clark Tower, 4848 Poplar to be exact. You've passed by. You've probably been inside to see us if so many of you have come by. We love being there. We can't wait until we get past where we have to social distance, because you can't go in right now. It's tight quarters. Eddie Connor and his family, they know that. That's why they got a little tent outside with people ready to bring it to you curbside. If you want to call before, go right ahead. Make your order. You can even pay over the phone. Then all they'll do is bring it right to your car, open up the back seat or open up the trunk. They will place it in there. That could be premium wines, middle-of-the-road wines, or the greatest bargain. Same thing with tequila or gin or vodka. They have accessories. They have beer. Anything that has to do with spirits, they've got it at the Spirit Shop, with the best service and great stories from Eddie Connor if you get him talking. That's it. Go stock up. You're out from the weekend, on the way home tonight. Stop by. They'll get you curbside at the Spirit Shop. We are back in a minute. This is Sports Time on Sports 56 with Wolo and Stats.
Spend your lunch with Greg Gaston and Eli Savoy on Sports 56 middays, delivered by FedEx. Weekdays from 10 to 1 on Sports 56, 96.1 and 87.7.
Hi, I'm Troy Fiveash, owner of Fiveash Roofing. Do you have any idea why I never speak the way I am right now? It's because if you're honest, sincere, and knowledgeable, you do not need fast-talking, high-energy, gimmick-promising advertising to get a customer's attention. Speaking of that, how do you think companies can offer huge rebates and giveaways when you use their services or buy their products? By overcharging you in the first place, that's how. Fiveash Roofing doesn't operate that way. It's misleading and dishonest. When I provide a customer with the best products and the best service possible and do it at a fair price, why would I need gimmicks to sell it? Best products, best warranties, and best service possible. That's all we offer. Well, that and financing. 5 Roofing, proud partner of the Memphis Tigers and the official roofer of the Memphis Tigers home team. 5 Roofing, fair, honest, and ethical. 367-0050 or memphisroofer.com. 367-0050 or memphisroofer.com.
5 Roofing, it's what we do. We're here for you.
I'm here with Robert Cox, kitchen manager of the Rendezvous Restaurant. Tell us about those great ribs at the Rendezvous.
Rendezvous stands alone in a unique barbecue style, only found in Memphis, Tennessee. We don't smoke our ribs, we char-broil them. The guys cooking our ribs have been doing it for 30 years. Mr. Charlie Virgos taught the guys the technique himself, and still to this day, they teach newcomers that come in the door. After our ribs come out the pit, we pre-cut every order, so you easily can tear them apart. We baste our ribs on the plate and sprinkle our season all over them.
So, Robert, are ribs what everyone comes to the Rendezvous for?
The beef brisket is now our second best seller behind the ribs. We also have lamb riblets, half chicken, pork shoulder, chopped chicken, cheese and sausage plate. Nachos are fantastic. We also carry a Greek salad. The list goes on.
Robert, where can we find out more about all of these great options?
Our restaurant menu is online at hogsfly.com, and recently we just added our catering menu online.
Mr. Charlie Virgos' Rendezvous Restaurant, a family-owned restaurant in downtown Memphis, in the alley since 1948.
Chris Price here for Brian Elder Roofing. The storms we've had over the past several months have been devastating to our communities. The rainy season is ahead. You may have not even noticed the dripping in your attic, water stains throughout your home, or even worse, mold and mildew. Please call Brian Elder Roofing and we will send out our project managers to assess any damage. We will not try to sell you a roof if all you need is a repair. We will measure your roof from outer space. 0% for 60 months, even no payments till 2022 are available with approved credit. If you've noticed missing shingles, water stains, leaks in your roof, call us before you call your insurance company at 867-0303. That's 867-0303, and we will provide a free, thorough inspection of your roof's condition.
Call 867-0303. Brian Elder's Roofing Solutions.
Family Leisure's here to make staying at home more enjoyable for you and your family this summer. Complete pool packages starting at $15.99. 24-foot pools only $19.99. 4-person spas starting at $19.99. Swim spas starting at under $10,000. We are offering contactless purchasing, deliveries, and curbside pickup. Give us a call to schedule an appointment or to place an order. Stay safe with Family Leisure.
Jay Farner here, CEO of Rocket Mortgage. Making the right financial decisions has never been more important. When you turn to Rocket Mortgage, we can help guide you to those right decisions now, when they matter most. Mortgage rates are near historic lows, so now is a great time to call 8338-ROCKET. And if you need some extra money, a cash-out refinance could give you that financial boost you're looking for. Call today at 8338-ROCKET or go to rocketmortgage.com to learn more.
Call for cost information and conditions. Equal housing lender. Licensed in all 50 states and MLS number 3030.
Welcome back to Sports Time on Sports 56 with Wolo and Stats. This hour of Sports Time is brought to you by DeSoto Auto Sales. Here once again are Dave Woloshin and Brett Norsworthy.
Cruising through our Monday, part of it brought to you by The Butcher Shop, and The Butcher Shop, a place I love. I love their steaks. I love their salmon. I love their chicken.
Count me in.
I love their desserts. I love their bread. They have a great bread. They really do. And right now you can get a $100 family meal for 4. Yes, ask about it. Tell them we sent you. You can get either an 8-ounce New York strip, an Atlantic salmon, or chicken breast to go along with garden salad, baked potatoes, and French bread, plus 4 desserts, either cheesecake or brownie for your family. You get all of that for $100. You can upgrade a little bit, $4 more per entree for a ribeye, $6 for a filet mignon. If you would love to get additional items, these might be even where you can take them out. You can get a Mayomi Pinot Noir. You can get a Sterling Napa Cab. I mean, they got beer. They have everything to make it easy for you. Either dine in or take out. The Butcher Shop, still doing it, and doing it so darn well.
Dave, one of the great things about college football is the past, the yesterday, today, and the tomorrow of it. We hope we have a tomorrow. Today, it looks like the wheels are turning, but the yesterday and the rivalries, the Twitter site, College Football Country, they did a great compilation of all the kind of the bigger rivalries. Here's the numbers since 2000. And if you're way ahead in a rivalry, you want to talk about the 30s and 40s and 50s. If you're behind, you prefer to talk about like the more recent that players actually know about. Since 2000, so 20 games for all these rivalries, Auburn leads Alabama 11-9. Would you have thought that?
No.
I wouldn't have either. And I've been to 10 of them in that 20 years.
If I wanted to talk about the rivalry between Memphis and Cincinnati, I'd certainly want to talk about last year.
Heck yeah. 2-0, baby.
Yeah.
Ohio State 17-3 over Michigan.
Man.
Florida 12-8 over Georgia.
That is not much. 17-3, did you say, Michigan, Ohio State?
17-3.
Is that even a rivalry?
Well, it was once.
It was, but it's not now. But, sometimes these rivalries, they go in such streaks like Alabama and Tennessee.
They really do. They really do. Florida leads Georgia 12-8, but they're 10-10 with FSU. Oklahoma 14-7 over Texas. Navy 16-4 over the Army.
Wow.
Clemson leads South Carolina 13-7. I thought that would be a larger disparity in Clemson's favor.
I did too. I would have thought that was the 17-3.
Ole Miss and Mississippi State since 2000. 20 games. What do you think it is?
Oh, my. Let me think. I'll say Ole Miss 12-8.
10-10.
10-10. Wow.
10-10.
That's a great rivalry. Speaking
and that's
of
why
which,
there's such enmity around it.
Well, speaking of which, the Jaron Jones story is a crazy story. He was going to Ole Miss from Mississippi State, and apparently there was so much talk and everything else, and there were some coaches that he knew from Memphis that are now at Florida State that he decided and changed his mind. At least I think he did, and he ended up signing his transfer papers to go to Florida State and not Ole Miss. Some people think it was because of the enmity of that particular rivalry that chased him away. He couldn't go from one to the other.
Dave, I voiced it during the middle of that for him. Come on if you want to.
You did.
Look forward to having you at Ole Miss, but think long and hard of what 30 and 40 years of age and having to be around both groups the rest of your life, and maybe if it doesn't work out, I can only think. I would love for somebody to correct me. I don't know if it's correcting. I just don't know. The only player I can ever think of in anything resembling a modern era that played at both places was Brett Tyler, who started at Mississippi State when his dad was head coach, and then when he was relieved of his duties, he transferred to Ole Miss. And I don't think there would be much venom for somebody doing that. But to just really throw accelerant onto that Thanksgiving fire is to have a lot either way. There's going to be an Ole Miss guy go to Mississippi State one of these days, and how much you going to enjoy that? And I said for those state players, fine, but really think about do you want kind of the rest of your life marked by that?
I was trying to say, I think you end up getting forgiven, but I think it takes a long time.
Long time.
And really and truly, since I got here in 81, it seems to me the temperature of the Ole Miss-Mississippi State rivalry has really gone up. Well, it was always really heated when you talked about Alabama and Auburn. Mm-hmm. I don't think it was sort of that way with Ole Miss and Mississippi State until the last 20 years. It has really gotten crazy.
I don't ever remember it not being this heated. I know there's like in every other walk of life, there's new avenues for the contempt, for the accelerant, and social media has sure been one. And whether we do or not, we feel like we know everybody's business now around college sports. The old joke is on either side. If you want to know everything going on at Mississippi State, just check out Ole Miss Twitter. And if you want to know everything going on at State, just check out Ole Miss Twitter. Everybody knows everything, or they think they do, and that has made it seem more heated, hated. I hate to use that word, but it's always been nasty. I've got younger friends of mine. It wasn't last year's game. It wasn't the 2019 game, but it was maybe it was even the 2015 game when both teams were really good. It was 2015. Dak Prescott's last game at Mississippi State, and a State friend of mine pre-game said, and he's younger. He's probably 35 now, so then he was 30. He said, it's just never been like this. I said, yes, it has. Yes, it has. It's always been mostly like this. It's just more known now.
Well, it got incredibly ugly. What was that, 2 years ago?
That was the uglier chapter. Yes, that was.
I don't know that I've ever seen it uglier than that one. But it always,
when you have swinging helmets, that's an ugly chapter.
Right.
Yes.
Well, and this one.
Last year was
truly, It's not just a rivalry because of geography and history, but it's a rivalry because of evenness. When you're talking.
That's
10-10, that makes it
you can't
even
get some
more
separation.
Relevant. Yeah.
Dave, can you imagine either side in Iron Bowl, Egg Bowl world if the last 20 years had been 17-3, or what Virginia Tech has, how they've dominated over UVA?
Yeah.
Can you imagine having to be around the other side if you're on the good or the bad side of that?
Well, I'd rather be on the good side for sure. Because
you would dodge people coming. Dave, several years ago, I went to MUS's opening night game, and it was like, August 19th, August 20th.
Mm-hmm.
There was a nice man that I know sitting 2 rows in front of me, and they are gigantic Tennessee fans, gigantic. And I mean, give, go, have been, they love Tennessee. And he said it rather loud, but turning the corner and coming up the stands were known Alabama people. And he said, he goes, if they get anywhere near us, we're moving seats.
Well, to the victor, the spoils, I guess.
I guess so.
They get to sit where they want to. The other guy's got to move.
Dave, what if Zion Williamson testifies in court? Have you kept up with that case?
Well, we know it is a he said, she said sort of thing. This is one agent who has been wronged, or so he thinks, by Zion, who went with a bigger agent. And so he is spilling the beans on stuff that happened before. And I have no reason to believe he's not telling the truth. And I don't think it's good for Zion, and I don't think it's good for Duke.
It could be something come out in the court of law under the threat of perjury that wouldn't look good.
I agree. I don't know what is the timetable on. I know the court ordered that he had to testify because they were trying to get him out of that.
But Dave, we thought every strand of what we always heard and thought around Tennessee and Alabama was going to come out in Logan's case, and it largely didn't.
Well, it might not have come out to damage Logan as much as you would have thought, but it sure damaged, what was his name, Lin Lang, and the assistant at Trezevant, and it's certainly, I think, affected
Milton Kirk.
Yeah. I think those guys were certainly
but we really thought we were going to see the underbelly of college football finally in a court of law with discovery and one hand in the air and the other one on the Bible under the threat of perjury, and we didn't get that much.
Well,
not anything we didn't already know.
What if all the basketball schools, and now throw in Duke, throw in LSU, throw in Arizona, because they're all involved in that FBI probe that Oklahoma State just got the book thrown at them with a loss of postseason and 3 years probation and loss of scholarships and a 10-year show cause for the assistant who was caught on tape. If that happens to all those schools, then I think it lives up to the
blockbuster,
the scandal that we thought it was.
Maybe so.
Yeah, and we'll have to wait and see on that, because you and I have been sitting here going, well, they had all the goods on this.
When?
And it looks like it looks like that federal court in New York was full of it. They haven't done a dang thing. Nothing's happened, and then all of a sudden, here's the first door opening. So
Barney Fife could crack this case.
Yeah.
Come on.
Well, and again, I'm still waiting on LSU and Arizona. They got those two guys, Will Wade and the Arizona coach, Miller. Sean Miller. I mean, they've got him dead on tape. I mean, I don't see how there can't be ramifications for that.
I mean, they had Nixon on tape. They got him.
Well, they got him. That is for sure. This portion of our program brought to you by Homer Skelton Hyundai in Olive Branch, and Genesis of Olive Branch, same building. They're making it bigger. They're bringing in more of the Genesis products. I can't wait for the SUV to come. I drive the G70. I had a G90 for a little bit. All I can tell you is that technology is unreal. It is so high performance. It is so safety-oriented. Literally, I touch a button, and the car will drive itself. It's got all the bells and whistles, and it comes with durability, because every new Hyundai and every new Genesis car like I'm talking about, they get a 10-year, 100,000-mile limited powertrain warranty. And I love to say that my friends right down Lamar into Mississippi, Craft Road's the first exit, turn left. My friends at Homer Skelton Hyundai and Genesis of Olive Branch, they're the standard for the way car business should be done. They take care of you. Their staff is still the same from the day they started advertising with us. Here's the other thing. They motivate, like 0% financing for 84 months. You're not going to pay any interest on your note, really, for the life of the car. And on some select models now, you've got 120 days before you make your first payment. Could be 90 days in some deals. They are there trying to make it easier for you. They know there's a pandemic. You don't have to pay right now. Pay in 3 months or 4 months, depending on the deal. Please go find out for yourself. Go see my friend Chris True at Homer Skelton Hyundai and Genesis of Olive Branch. Time for Crunch Time. We do that in just a minute.
Want to get your voice heard? Hit us up on the First Bank phone line or First Bank text line.
Did you know nearly 40% of men under 40 and over 75% of men over the age of 40 experience sexual performance concerns? At the Memphis Men's Clinic, their experienced physician performs a comprehensive evaluation that determines which specific issues may interfere with your sexual performance. These issues can vary and range from anxiety to medical issues, low testosterone, or erectile dysfunction. The Memphis Men's Clinic has evaluated hundreds of men of all ages over the years and reestablished a normal sexual life. The Memphis Men's Clinic will work aggressively to resolve issues and allow you to restore your sexual health and overall well-being. That's the Memphis way. If you're 20 years old or 90 years old, come and get cared for the Memphis way. Treatment that's based on your specific needs after a professional clinical evaluation by their experienced board-certified physician. Call the Memphis Men's Clinic today at 901-443-0475 or visit memphismensclinic.com.
The landscape is so beautiful at Town Village Audubon Park. Nestled in the heart of East Memphis, located corner of Park and Cherry, is a beautiful residential neighborhood. Looking for a great place to retire, but you still have a very active lifestyle? Then visit Town Village. Only requirements that you're 55 plus. Prices per month starting at $24.50. The Gourmet Chef welcomes you to visit our restaurant and bistro. Package includes 3 complimentary meals per day, maid service, free local transportation, monthly coffee club, themed dinner parties, lots of fun. Visit us and call Daniel or Bo at Town Village Audubon Park at 901-374-7342. There's no place like home. Town Village Audubon Park.
Blood and plasma donations are more important than ever. People all around the world still depend on the medicine your plasma helps make. That's why Interstate Blood Bank and Plasma Biological Services are open and will remain open for our donors. The United States government has declared blood and plasma donation as a critical infrastructure industry. That means healthy donors are allowed to travel to and from donation centers regardless of any stay-at-home mandates in your area. We need you to keep donating so that we can continue to manufacture these life-saving medicines. We understand that you may be concerned about COVID-19. The health and safety of our donors and our employees remain a top priority. To limit the spread of the virus, we're taking additional measures to ensure our centers are safe and clean. Donating now is more important than ever, but please do not come to the center to donate if you are not feeling well or have a sore throat, fever, cough, or shortness of breath. We are doing our part so that you can do yours. Come donate today at one of our IBBI or PBS locations across the Memphis area.
Welcome back to Sports Time on Sports 56 with Wolo and Stats. This hour of Sports Time is brought to you by DeSoto Auto Sales. Here once again are Dave Wolosian and Brad Norsworthy.
Come on, Muhammad, we hit fame. We busy with the deal, we get insane.
Welcome back in. Final portion of the show. We're going to thank right off the bat Ted Butler. Man, it was good talking to Ted Butler for the first time. We'll be talking with him on a weekly basis. David Cobb, Steve Selby, and I really truly mean I miss Steve Selby listening to him, but he's a voice of summer, and it's really awful to think that he lost his job this year. Basically, is what occurred. Mm-hmm. This pandemic has really been costly to many people. My heart goes out to him because nobody loves baseball more than Steve Selby loves baseball. It's time for Crunch Time.
Go crazy, folks! Go crazy! This is for all the biggest Crunch Time.
You are looking live. In your life have you seen anything like that?
Take questions again for the student athletes at this time, please.
What's happening, big dog? How you doing?
Is this thing working?
It's obviously crunch time.
Hammer, nail, coffin. This baby is over.
Woo! Woo!
Time for Taco Bell Crunch Time. Taco Bell, home of the crispy tortilla chips, topped with a double portion of either seasoned beef or shredded chicken, plus refried beans, nacho cheese sauce, reduced fat sour cream, guacamole, and a 3-cheese blend. Nachos Bel Grande, heaping portion of chips, topped with ground beef, tomatoes, beans, nacho cheese sauce, and a dollop of sour cream. Taco Bell, home to great food you get on your way home real fast, and they bring you crunch time every day. Dave, we were just talking about it. I learned today if Zion has to testify and throws that right hand up under the threat of perjury, it could get ugly for Mike Krzyzewski and his well-earned reputation built over 50 years, and for Duke, and even uglier for college basketball. Look, we all know what exists out there in the college sports world, basketball and football. But if it got laid out case by case in a court of law with Duke being the primary story, then we really could be in for one.
I'll be curious to see just how much Zion will talk, and I wonder if he could take the fifth in a case like that.
You can always do that.
Yeah. Here's what I learned today, and I thank Drew Barrett for this. I have been always under the impression, wrongfully so, that if you won a U.S. Amateur, you were pretty well guaranteed you were going to be a top-notch PGA Tour player. Going back to 1895, that's what Drew has been doing during our commercial breaks.
That's the beginning.
Going back to 1895, only 18 U.S. Amateur winners have won major championships. I would never have believed that. Now, several of them have won multiple majors, like Jack Nicklaus, like Tiger Woods, but only 18, going all the way back to 1895, it does not mean you're going to be great if you win a U.S. Amateur. It is a great achievement, but it is not a great fortune teller of greatness.
All right, if you're going to win a U.S. Amateur like Dean Beeman did, being commissioner of the tour is pretty good, and we mentioned Fred Ridley being commissioner of Augusta National.
Right.
That wouldn't be a bad consolation prize.
No, not at all.
For life?
And you're going to be good at the game for the rest of your life too, most likely.
Oh, can have a bunch of fun with it playing at that level. Yeah. Could have done without the 76-game season. It's a joke, and a 48-game baseball season is more sad than it is laughable. I will apply an asterisk to either, and to a 48-game schedule, I will never recognize it, regardless if the Cardinals go 48-0 and 20-0 in the playoffs. No, thank you.
I guess I could have done without the tennis story. I mentioned Djokovic is saying it would be almost impossible with the extreme protocols to play the U.S. Open. They're also talking now that the other two major players, the big three, Rafael Nadal and Roger Federer, might not play. Is it a major championship if those three guys don't show up? I don't think so.
And in the United States, men's tennis couldn't take many more hits. And now seeing breaking news that the USTA laying off a lot of people. It's rough times for that sport. The countdown is on to the Schwab. I'm ready to see all the tee times. The Glamour tee times are really good.
Oh my
and for
gosh,
about the fifth week in a row, baseball's got to make a lot of progress this week in negotiations. Don't hold your breath.
I'll be watching for that tomorrow and Wednesday for sure, because I think we'll know the fate by the end of this week. That'll do it for us. We'll see you same time tomorrow.
Hi, it's the Herd. 66% of dudes start to lose their hair by the age of 35. Start noticing thinning hair? Probably too late. Lucky for you, it's 2020. Medicine and science can help you do something about it. Hims basically helps guys be the best version of themselves. FDA-approved